What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McGlusky, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast. High five, G5, and with nearly 30 days to go till the college football season starts, and it just edges that ever so little bit closer. Week zero, right? Like say we're on the final stretch. We're getting there. I'm really eager for this now. All the juicy stuff starting to come out at camp. We're hearing about player battles and starting QB roles. We're into the good stuff now.
Yep. By now, most teams should probably know who's going to be under centre. We say 30, 40 days to most teams' first game, but there are a lot of camp battles where they're going to leave it right until those last few days to make a decision. There's some heated, intense battles going on right now. And yeah, then with that comes, like say, guys that will be trying to duck and dive. Enrolling, late rolling, like say, trying to just find a roster. They'll be scrambling right now, anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all really good stuff, and we're so much looking forward to it. And with that, like our juicy content continues coming your way as well today. Also, if you remember last week, we took Phil Steele's all conference teams from the Power Four and we ranked the four conferences against one another to see who possessed the best positional ranking groups, etc. And strangely enough, out of all of them, we crowned the ACC the winner based on that strong ass defense that they're going to be fronting next year, which was just absolutely tremendous. But it is going to be the turn of the group of five this week. We're going to turn our attention to the small schools because we've done the big guys. We're going to do the little guys as well, but we're going to do it a little bit differently to last week. Obviously, last week we were ranking all the groups against one another. We're not going to do that this week. One, because there's five conferences, not four, and it's going to take forever if we do that. And two, as good as we are with all these guys and these prospects and the small schools and stuff, we are not intimately acquainted with all these guys on here. So it's very difficult for us to rank them. So what we're going to do instead is we've picked our favorite guys from each positional group, and we're going to talk a little bit about them in more detail to give us you an insight into the guys we really like here. So we won't talk about everyone, but we will reveal the names, let you know who's on there. You can see who's on there. And as the season goes on, if you want us to look at some of these players, etc., let us know, and we will do. But we're going to tell you about our favorite guys this evening, so looking forward to that. And then the big one, this time next week, it's not going to be about Phil Steele or his rankings anymore. It's going to be about mine and Ryan's, the all Raws as we call them, the all Ryan and Antony's, our teams, our 22-man teams we release for the season, the preseason player watch lists. These are the players you need to know about as prescribed by me and Ryan. That's the main list. We'll be doing those in a week's time, so tune in for that one. But first, we got this show to do today, so let's get underway. Let's just get all the housekeeping out of the way. First, Roar Lines UK Discord, if you want in, let us know. We'll fire you across a link for that. Main podcast was done yesterday, not long ago actually. We talked about training camp. We did a review of the Lions 2022 draft class because as we do a 3-year evaluation of each draft class, and then we did a little quiz at the end as well. So check that out if you haven't already. And as always, the big announcement we did make as well on August the 16th, I think it is. We're going to be doing the 24-hour stream, going from midnight to midnight, from technically what will be the end of the 15th for you guys to the end of the 16th. We need lots of ideas and guests and stuff for the show. So if there's anything you want to see us do, any guests you want us to get on, anything like that, then let us know and we will take it all under advisement as we try and put a schedule together. But that's going to be good fun. We're raising money for good causes in the process as well. We're trying to find someone to partner up with in Detroit, charity-wise. So if you have any suggestions, let us know, and hopefully we'll be able to raise some good money for them whilst making ourselves really tired in the process. We're part of Lions Nation Unite, so go ahead and support those guys as well because that helps support us in the process. I put up a video there the other day. And we're monetized, all that good stuff. You want to help us, great. But first and foremost, we just love having you in here to talk ball with us. That's all we really care about, to be fair. And we've got the feedback form as well. So any feedback, I mean, you can just tell us in the comments, or if you want to be nice, put it in the form. We'll take it all on board. Right, let's dive down into a little bit of news before we get into this, because it'll be a big one. Jake Retzlaff, Ryan, the former BYU quarterback, we talked about him a few weeks ago. His antics in the Mormon Valley down there getting him suspended off the team, which for what would have been half a season, he entered the portal because it's his last year in college. He really needs to be playing football, and he's ended up on a team that's already gotten rid of one quarterback this year from an arrest, moving on to a new one. He's gone to the Tulane Green Wave, who we're probably going to talk about a lot tonight because a lot of their players appear on this list. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. Tulane did lose TJ Finley to arrest. I don't know if he's still with them, probably not, but I'd imagine, they were sort of scrambling for a starter because he was meant to be the guy this year. I guess if there's going to be a list of teams Jake did eventually go to, Tulane might fit the bill. And I mean, he's a starting power four quarterback now going to the group of five. Like, that could be, if he adapts quick enough and he does get the starting job there, it could be a very good final year for him with the team they're sporting there.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I read online as well. John Summerall scouted him and made him an offer when he was head coach at Troy. So he knows him very well. So they've got an experienced relationship. They've been fond of each other. So yeah, John finally gets his guy. Only got it for 1 year, but after losing Darian Mensah, like I said, a star quarterback, they were kind of left all afloat. And this is a team that has got playoff aspirations. So yeah, it makes sense as well. Like obviously going about it the way of dropping out of school, walking on, probably not carrying over all your credits. Academically, this must have hurt him. It can't have been a smooth transition. So yeah, he's gonna feel the effects of it, whatever happens after this year, depending on, like say, what happens with his graduation. But he's got a good school. If he has puts a good year together, he can put them in one of those G5 contender spots, and he can somewhat resurrect the draft stock, which is now somewhat fallen off a cliff with his. Well, I suppose he's broken BYU's rules. He hasn't really broken any collegiate NCAA rules. He just brought their school. So a lot of people will say, well, I don't care who he sleeps with. Like I
It
say, it's the whole essay and that it's settled. That's all. Like I say, it's been out of court, so the civil's all passed. So whatever he else has done in his private life, then that's up to him. I can't hold that against him, and I don't think they will either.
No, it is important to say that it was a part of the morality code that he violated there. Obviously, no sex before marriage. You're not allowed to do that. So, obviously, with the SA thing, that's been settled out of court. We will never know what's happened on that. But as far as the courts are concerned, and that he's free to go and he's done nothing else. So, yeah, it's that Tulane team are going to be very, very interesting to watch this year. Let's just say, because again, they've got a lot of players on this list tonight. Who we're going to talk about. But yeah, Jake
Flip side,
Retzlaff.
BYU, scrambling, like you say. Their quarterback room leaves a lot to be desired. You can
It
take a
does.
Big 12 race for me.
It does. I don't think they've got any star. I don't think they've got any starts between the guys there. I think there's some reps, but I'm not sure there's any starts. I would have to check. But yeah, the quarterback room at BYU is a bit dicey with its depth at the moment. Completely forgot to shout out everyone who's watching when we started this. Brent is in the chat. Hope you're doing well, Brent. He was asking about Keith Cooper Jr., but Matt has surmised him pretty well there. So hopefully that's been settled. I've seen mile marker is in the building as well. Grandizer is in the building, says highly ho lads. High five, G5. There we go. He goes, I've had a bad day earlier on YouTube. I need this podcast. Hey, Grandizer, you're always welcome here, and hopefully you enjoy our podcast as always. And ask away, questions galore. We will help you with that. Mile marker is as I mentioned, is in the building. I just saw a very interesting tweet about his Minnesota Golden Gophers. Brett McMurphy just tweeted it out. PJ Fleck and the Gophers have had either first or second round NFL picks in each of the last 6 years, which is a big testament to that program. And you've got Koi Carp, who's potentially eligible for the draft this year. I think there's a couple of others. Like just as an aside, that's a pretty good stretch there. I know PJ's often been accused of having a very big contract, which he's not fulfilled in terms of their stuff on the field, but there's no doubting that when it comes to actually creating NFL talent, he's doing his job pretty. 6 years in a row, a first or second round pick is pretty good business.
Yeah, I think it's a team that's firmly in the basis of is going to get the right guys ready to graduate and give them the best possible chance at the pros. Like they ain't competing in the Big Ten. We know it. Like I said, they've been treading water for a long time, but as a collective, they've struggled a bit individually. Like I said, they've managed to just produce some top level talent. and every year. And that says a lot about the NFL teams and the scouts. They respect the coaching staff at Minnesota and what they're doing for some of these guys. And yeah, there are a lot of schools out there that you ain't going to win. Like I say, you've got to pride yourself on getting your alumni into the next level because ultimately that is the only thing that is going to convince these kids to come because they ain't going to
Iowa.
win the national championship. So if they think I can get to the NFL with you, then you will be able to recruit players.
Iowa. Like that's probably their big calling card. We will get you to the NFL, but you won't win many
Wisconsin,
games.
like teams that have been good, but right now, like
Yeah.
a couple of years have, yeah, they've been meh, but they
Yeah.
send players every single year to the draft.
Yeah. Thinking that, I think Coy Carp's 27, but I think it's that is it Anthony Smith, the D lineman this year? I know there's a ton of hype behind him, so he might be the one this year. So they potentially got another 2 years worth of first and second round picks coming. So
Bit of the win, but PJ Fleck's a very well respected coach as well around the country. Like I say, he's a no nonsense kind of guy, and you don't have all the wins, but he's someone who just feels like his job's. There just feels like there's no chance he could ever be fired.
no,
He's
no.
just doing it. He's just doing a good job with what he's got, and yeah, he's yeah.
It's going to become tougher with Indiana doing what they did last year and potentially Illinois going on a run this year. I saw the most crazy theory earlier today that Maryland are going to be the next Indiana because they've got the brand new quarterback there. They're not facing any Power Four opponents in the non-con games, and they don't face Oregon State, but they don't face Oregon, Penn State, or Ohio State this year. So hell, maybe even Maryland do it. But if they can, then it'll start getting dicey for you. Because if all these other teams can do it, even if it's just for 1 year, you're going to be expected to do it eventually. But yeah, Fleck is doing a really good job there at Minnesota. I just saw that tweet. I saw mile markers, so I thought I'd mention that one there for you. The American. That has been a big term this week in college football, the American. First off, the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, which is the Group of Five conference we're talking about, is shaking the athletic tag off it. It's just becoming the American Conference now. I mean, we've kind of always just known it as the American anyhow, so I don't think it makes any difference there, really. It's just going to be the American Conference going forward. And then we now have a sixth All-Star Bowl game going into next season. The American Bowl is going to be a new collegiate all-star game at the end of the season, joining the Hula Bowl, the HBCU Legacy Bowl, the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, and God help me, I'm not going to get the last one. I can't remember, but it's going to be six now. I would assume it's going to cater towards, it's kind of go what the Hula Bowl does. I thought the Hula Bowl was done for with its fraudulent stuff last year, but apparently it's not. But six All-Star games, look for doing, I mean, more content for us really right at the end of the year, but I'm not sure we need one more, really.
No, because half the time, most of the best players just practice and leave anyway. Like a lot
Mm,
of them play the game, and the games. I mean, the less said about most of the games because most of them are absolutely dire.
yeah,
Where they rotate players, there is no sync. Like yeah, they're not very watchable. Most of them.
yeah. I
They need
don't
some
know.
sort of niche to who they're going to have there.
I don't know. I saw a suggestion saying it should be Service Academy guys, which would be quite funny because they're using the whole patriotic eagle logo thing. But I've not figured it out yet. But we'll see. It's getting. Thing is, the NFL Network have picked it up, which immediately puts it over things like the Hula Bowl. Like the Hula Bowl struggled to get airtime. Like no one will pick it up. So now that it's got the backing of the NFL Network, like the Senior Bowl does, maybe it might lead me to believe it might be some attempt to.
Why
Maybe
do they
some
just have an
attempt.
successful? Like,
Maybe, yeah, maybe some attempt to take on the Shrine Bowl, possibly, because the Shrine Bowl's becoming very popular, especially with guys like us who like the not so well-known prospects who are not force-fed down your throat all the time, where a lot of the potentially good talent is. Maybe they're trying to weasel their way in on that, which I don't hope is the case, because I love the Shrine Bowl, but we'll see. The first iteration will come this year, and at the end of the season, we'll see how it plays out. But there are going to be six All-Star Bowl games this year going into draft season. So at the very least, plenty of opportunities to see your favorite draft prospects on the path to the 2026 draft. Brent goes, unrealistic to have an, oh God. Yeah, yes, it's unrealistic to have that sort of a code in college today, but BYU, it's heavily religious there, Brent. So that's why me and Ryan surmise that's why they all go abroad to do their missions, to get away from central base and be able to do things while they're there and they're not getting checked up on. But who knows? Grandizer goes, I don't care if bowl games that were relevant. I was under the impression that they were relevant. Gives the program a reason to go to that school. Not a fan of the playoffs the way it is now. Yeah, the playoffs is changing. It's all a mess. It's all a mess. The playoffs are going to change again next year from this format, and it's all over the place. So we'll see what goes on with that. But anywho, let's move on. I don't think there's anything really else news-wise to go on about from the last week. No. Oh, apart from one thing, the uniforms. Uniforms were really bad last year, I think, by standards. We didn't really talk about them that much. I don't know, you do talk about uniforms a lot, right? I love my uniforms. It was a down year last year, but we had a very good reveal earlier in this week. The Air Force space helmets. Oh my days, how beautiful do those things look? It's that kind of dark tinted, almost chrome-like blue they've got with the jet black visors on them. Like, we always love the Space Force theme stuff that the service academies do. They always usually do it pretty well, but Air Force have knocked it out the park with the helmets this year. If you've not seen them yet, look for the Space Force Air Force helmets for this year. They're fantastic. Do they not look great, right?
Yeah. And they should distract from potentially how mid the Falcons will probably be again this year. Yeah. See, after this year, I don't want any more space. I'm all spaced out. Like I say, the last couple of years have been very space and galaxy heavy. This one's good, and like I say, it's going to look great. But yeah, I'd like to see something else going forward. I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of schools do Starry Nights and rocket ships, and like, yeah, what will the next trend be?
Yeah, I know. It's we need more innovation this year. Like it feels like a couple of years ago we really hit our pinnacle with uniforms, and then they've just died off a little bit. So hopefully some of the teams have something good for us this year. Right, let's move it on into the main topic of the evening. And as we mentioned last week, we looked at Phil Steele's all conference teams. I've got his big Bible here with me. One of the best article things for college football during the season. Apart from listening to me and Ryan, we are a very informative pod as well, but. Yeah, we did his all season teams, all preseason teams, and rank them for the Power Four like we did last year. This year, we're going to look at the group of five teams, but of course, we don't know about every single prospect this year just yet. So we're picking our favorite guys out of the positional groups and chatting about them a little more, whilst introducing you to all the names on there as well, so you can familiarize yourself with them a bit. So how it's going to work, we got one of these charts up. It is on the screen right now. If it is a little small, I apologize, but if you maximize your screen and put it up, it should show pretty well. So as we did last week, we're going to reveal a position group one by one, and then we're going to talk about specific players. I'm going to highlight them in green. So if you don't watch the entire podcast, you can see who we've highlighted, and if you click through, you'll see when and where they haven't been selected. So you can zero in on the players that you want to hear about as well. As I say, I'm trying to make the show more interactive within my limited means at the moment. So I think we're all ready. You all ready to go on this, Rye? We're all good?
Yep.
Right, so we're going to look at the five quarterbacks put down on the Phil Steele preseason all-conference team. So, of course, we've got the American, the CUSA, the Mid-Atlantic, the MAC, the Mountain West, and the Sun Belt. So, drum roll. So here we go. So for the American, oh, and Brent will love this. We're starting off with a Navy midshipman. We've got Blake Horvath. He is the Navy midshipman quarterback in the CUSA. We've got Maverick McIver with the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. In the Mid-Atlantic, we've got Parker Navarro of Ohio. In the Mountain West, we've got Maddox Madsen of Boise State. And then in the Sun Belt, we've got Braylon Braxton of Southern Miss. A very intriguing bunch of quarterbacks here, but I think a very good list of quarterbacks that show the group of five in a very good light here, Ryan. I know you've one specific guy here, right? So who have you zeroed in on the quarterbacks in this group?
I've gone with the best names of the group. I've got Maverick McIver. So this quarterback entering his senior year, 6'2", 210 pounds, long time Abilene Christian Wildcat. So he's transferred in for his final year from the FCS. This guy is vastly experienced. So 35 games, he's gone 655 of 1,089 completions at roughly 60% career. He has got 8,012 passing yards, 63 touchdowns, and 21 interceptions. So a perfect 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He was a Walter Payton Award finalist for 2024. That is like the FCS Heisman Award. He did fall out, miss out, unfortunately, but he was one of the runners up this going year. He was the first team unanimous All UAC player. He leaves ranked top six in every passing category. So I think completions, passing yards, touchdowns, like passing yards per game. Like I said, every top category he's leaving in the best. This year, he led the team to a 9-5 finish and their first conference championship since 2010, and also their first ever program player for parents. He was managed to complete short year. So he's left a legend in these parts. And he's going to a school that loves the air raid. There's nothing they love more than, like I say, this guy only had like 200 rushing yards this year. He is a stand and deliver pocket man. He wants to step up in the pocket. He wants to get his arms and his shoulders through the throw, and he wants to take strikes. So for me, this is a match made in heaven. You've got a big bodied guy behind the line that will stand there. He'll hang into the pocket until the very last second to get the release on his throw. You've got a system that will play nearly always at least four wide receivers spread to either side, if not trips. And he's a very fast processor. He's one of the most experienced QBs in the country. He was one of the top FCS passers last this year, and he's entering a program that has got somewhat of a record of itself now for getting guys at least on NFL radars, purely because the amount of workload and just the amount of talent and numbers they will give him. There's a good talented wide receiver core here as well. I think McIver has primed himself to make a really good run at being a late day three UDFA pick. And he's going to be one of the best G5 QBs easily. It won't be surprised me if like top 20, top 30 passer in the whole country at the end of this year. He has got a big body of work. And yeah, they're going to put him through his paces. He's going to be throwing 300 passes probably this year. I expect him to put up some big numbers and poach on some of these defensive backs very much.
And of course, one of the more famous examples that, we talked about him on last year's podcast, the 52-51 defeat to the Texas Tech Red Raiders of, the FBS Power 4 opponent that he came up against. He went 36 of 51 for 506 yards and three touchdowns. And he threw completed passes to like 11 different players. Like, if you want to see him, Ryan, what he's about, it's probably the game to go watch, right? It's up there on YouTube. It's one of the best performances of the season. He kept them in it all game long against Baron Morton and that stupidly good offense there. Like, just shows you what he's all about. He is class and he's good against better opposition.
Yeah, it was just a straight up duel that game. The person that had the ball last or made the least mistakes was going to win, and they fell just on the short side. They were the winners of the game though, because all they did was expose how poor a Power Four team and how bad a defense was at Texas Tech that they exploited it. They shelled them. It was like the blitz screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, that is what they're known for. And even against big power sides, even when you know what they're going to do, trying to stop it, that's a totally different ball game.
Exactly.
He's going to go
So
out with a proper big bang this year.
exactly. I'm really excited to see him this year. So go watch the Texas Tech Abilene Christian game from last year and you will see what Maverick McIver is about. He is for real. Right, my guy I've got at the quarterback position. I've gone in a little bit of a different direction, but I am a big fan of Braylon Braxton from Southern Miss. And I feel like I've mentioned him on one of our shows already, but just to tell you a bit more about him. So Braylon Braxton, he is the quarterback for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles this year. He's 6'3", 205 pounds. Spent 3 years at Tulsa, 1 year at Marshall, and will be his first year at Southern Miss. Over his career, he's 237 of 419. It's a 56% completion rating, 2,969 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. As a rusher, 1,150 rushing yards with 5.2 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns. He's only ever fumbled the ball 6 times. Dual threat quarterback. So he got the Tulsa starting job as a redshirt freshman. He threw for over 1,100 yards with 10 touchdowns and just two interceptions on the year. And he had five rushing touchdowns as well. However, he had an injury at the start of what was meant to be his second year as a starter, which basically wiped out his season. And so he had to go in the portal as his replacement nailed down the job in his absence. So he got a call from Charles Huff at Marshall asking him to go compete for a job there. Didn't give me any assurances, just said he can compete. He did start the season as a backup, although he did play the season opener against FCS Stony Brook, but he had to wait till week 5 against Appalachian State to get his shots. In that game, he had three passing touchdowns and two rushing touchdowns, and from that point on, he never looked back. He ended up throwing for 1,631 yards with 19 touchdowns and just two interceptions. Again, he added 640 yards and four touchdowns on the ground as he took Marshall to their first ever Sun Belt Championship victory. He was the Sun Belt Newcomer of the Year. He was the MVP in the Sun Belt Championship game. He did it all last season. Now, the career numbers are not gaudy for sake of that, but for me, that just hides the special talent in this guy even more. His dad was a star collegiate safety. He's now a trainer in Texas who deals with a lot of NFL players. So Braxton has grown up in and around actual NFL players. He's trained with them. A lot of them have taken interest in his development, and he knows more than most the level of dedication it takes to get to that next level. But the attitude is where he really stands out for me and where he's got the best chance of succeeding at the next level. So he had to deal with losing his starting gig at Tulsa through no fault with his play. It was just an injury there. He went to Marshall with no guarantees of getting a starting job. A lot of QBs don't go anywhere unless they get those guarantees. He waited patiently, waited for his turn, and he took advantage of it, which shows to me a great attitude from him. But this year was the real eye-opener where he stood out. So when Charles Huff was let go by Marshall inexplicably, Braxton hit the portal. He had offers from around half of the Big 12 and even some lower SEC schools, which gives him the potential to put himself on a much bigger stage in terms of draft circles and prospects for that. You know what he did? Instead, he called up the man who gave him his chance to break out, Charles Huff, who was now at the 1-11 Southern Miss Golden Eagles. He had a phone call, and Charles Huff has confirmed this, and the phone call was, "Coach, I'm coming." And he committed to the team without ever visiting Hattiesburg. Like, he stayed loyal to the guy who showed faith in him, and he's gone there. They're taking on one of the biggest rebuilding jobs going. And he's now going to be the on-field leader of this rebuild, and he's sacrificed a much bigger personal stage in the process, which makes his draft process a lot harder, but he didn't hesitate, and I love that about him. He's a natural dual threat quarterback. He's very smart, knows when and when not to go scrambling. He's incredibly secure with the ball, so he's had 2 seasons as a starter. In both those seasons, he only had two interceptions. And he's had 6 fumbles over his entire career. He's a natural team leader. He is not afraid of the hardest challenges possible. Last year, he was throwing at 60% accuracy. So the career one, it's going in the right direction. The numbers continue going on like that. He's just going to be fine. This year, really, it's all about seeing what change he can affect so quickly on what has been a very poor Southern Miss team and a very poor Southern offense now for the last half decade. But if we see like a high breakout yardage year from him, a 3,000 yard season, plenty of touchdowns, not many turnovers, and we see that Southern Miss team get back to bowl eligibility and head back towards the top of the Sun Belt, I think you've got draft potential there for sure. I mean, it's not easy when these guys give up big opportunities, right? But I feel like that should commandeer them more, not taking the easy route and going sitting on the bench, but potentially playing themselves out the draft and taking a really big risk on themselves.
Yeah, it's one of those where fully backs himself to be able to go into a difficult scenario, step onto a field with players that he doesn't know that are all down on confidence. Like I say, the whole vibe around the entire school, the football thing, like I say, must be pretty low. He had plenty of good offers to go into teams that were very talented, where you just have to kind of steer the ship, just keep it on course. That's not the kind of guy he is. He wants to go in there and he wants no autopilot. He wants to go in there. He wants to take full control. And like I say, whether it goes well, it goes poorly. like I say, whatever the outcome is, he's going to give it all. And like I say, he's going to reward a guy that also is taking a huge gamble. Like I say, Huff, like I say, will have had good offers and he's taken his goal because, like I say, he wants to make a difference. He wants to prove that he can go into a school, like I say, that's got very low prospects. Like I say, they don't have high expectations and turn them around and get them playing like a team that didn't just go 1-11. So I respect that. So yeah, it's going to be a whole 50-50 between them, how that one turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. Southern Miss are already one of my soft spot teams this year, so I'm going to be rooting hard for them and what they do. But I'm really looking forward to the prospect of what Braylon Braxton is going to bring to the table this year. So Maverick McIver, Braylon Braxton, keep an eye on those two because we sure as hell are this year. Right, let's move it on to the running backs. We always love talking running backs here. So the American is fronting Robert Henry from UTSA, Alex Texa from Navy. The CUSA, we've got Cam Cook out of Jacksonville State and Keon Owens out of Florida International. In the Mid-Atlantic, we've got AJ Henderson, oh sorry, Al J. Henderson out of Buffalo and Jalen Buckley from Western Michigan. In the Mountain West, we've got Scott Ray Humphrey from New Mexico and Sire Gaines from Boise State. And in the Sun Belt, we've got George Pettaway from James Madison and Kentrell Bullock from South Alabama. So I think Ryan's got one for this and I've got two for this. Is one of your guys from the Sun Belt, perchance?
Uh, yes.
Oh, he is. Oh, right. So we've got a matching one here. I'm going to be okay. So who have you got? Let's see who that we've doubled down on here.
I got this wrong about James Madison. My mind's gone blank. They are in the Sun Belt, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
You're right.
I've got George Pettaway.
So have I. Go on. Go ahead. Let's tell us
Redshirt
about George.
junior, James Madison Dukes, 5'10", 195 pounds, a former four-star high school recruit coming out of 24/7 Sports. He is on the preseason first All Sun Belt team at running back, and he's also a second All preseason team in all-purpose yardage. So last year he had 11 starts. He carried the ball 162 times for 980 rushing yards with 5 touchdowns. That's 6.05 yards per carry. I believe that's like top 20 in the nation per rush. So he every time he touched the ball, he was getting at least half a first down. He was one of the most efficient running backs in the entire country. He also had 24 receptions for 200 yards and touchdowns, and also had six kick return average with 24.2 yards per average and a long of 40. This guy is a gadget. This guy is on every phase of the offense for James Madison Dukes. He is an entirely integral part of everything they want to do. When he touches the ball, he makes things happen. He's happy to kick, like I say, return punts, return kicks, catch balls out the backfield. But despite being like a fairly slender build, he's quite a physical running back. He's very happy to run between the tackles. Doesn't always have to be outside of that space. He's one of those guys that gets the good shoulder leverage down. He runs behind his pads. He's got that low center of gravity, which really help push him on and get those extra few yards every time he pounds the rock. So he's one of the best running backs in the G5. And this year, if you give him 20, 30, 40 more carries, I think he'll easily eclipse 1,000 yards and get towards double-digit rushing touchdowns. But then you also countering a couple more touches in the passing game, a couple of extra 100 yards. This guy could be easily on for well over 1,500, 1,600 yards here. So I would make him first team preseason all-purpose yardage. So I'd like to see him also up the kicks, maybe give him some punt returns, but you do also want to protect him. Like I say, you don't want to risk losing him or give him any unnecessary injuries, but this guy is the real deal. That offense is so potent. I'm very surprised that their quarterbacks were not in the preseason with Alonzo Barnett and also Matthews Luca. It's kind
Hmm.
of like a crazy underrated room. It's quite an interesting mix. But yeah, this guy does a great job in all facets of taking pressure off Alonso. It's coming off a serious injury, but he's one of the best QBs in the country for me. So when I put him in, but they work really well together. And this guy is one of those guys you can have him on the field every 3 or 4 downs. He doesn't really need to leave the field. He'll easily eclipse 700, 800, 900 yard snaps in a season. So he's very durable, despite the slender 190 physical guy, and you're going to get everything out of him. So this year, he's going to just put up some big numbers all across the board, and he's going to be very fun to watch. One of the more explosive G5 players. He's going to return a kick for a touchdown this year. I can just tell.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I've added a new little chart, it's a thing to our chart. Like I've got our picks on there, but I didn't realize if we both picked the same guy. So we've got the unanimous picks now. So if they're in yellow, we've both picked them. So that means you should doubly be watching these guys. But I love George Pettaway as well. Things that stand out for me, he's never fumbled the football in his college career. Like great ball security. You know, you're coming from UNC, which is the running back uni. You're going to be trained very well there, even if you can't dig into that system. But he's very well trained. Ball security is absolutely immaculate. The 6.1 yards per carry he had on average last year was the highest by any running back in the Sun Belt. And there are a lot of good running backs on the Sun Belts there. And like they say, there's just that underrated receiving aspect to him. You know, 200 receiving yards, just a little bit that just nudge up those numbers, and he can do it if need be. You just want to see it all come together this year. And he's had 1 year as a starter, that's it. So you're going to see that game naturally come to the fore this year. But I put it in my notes, right? I reckon he'll have a 1,500 plus scrimmage yard year. Yeah, yeah. If he stays healthy, he's
12,
going.
13 touchdowns. It's definitely in his reach.
If he stays healthy, he's going for 1,500 yards this year. So yeah, George Pettaway is one you should really be keeping your eye on at James Madison. Say 5'10", 199, good build for him, but there's loads he can do on that field. So Pettaway's there. And then the other one I got, I'm staying in the Sun Belt here, and I've got Kentrell Bullock. He's the running back from the South Alabama Jaguars, and for me, he's similar to Pettaway in that he started at a big school, got lost on the rotational chart, has come down to the group of five, and he's just started to find himself as a player. So he's 5'10", 203 pounds, basically the exact same size as Pettaway. He's 5 pounds heavier. He had 3 years at Ole Miss. This is going to be his third year at South Alabama. He's a sixth year guy, so he's a little older. 254 carries, 1,365 rushing yards at 5.4 yards per carry, 11 rushing touchdowns, one fumble. As a receiver, he's had 31 receptions for 261 receiving yards and two receiving touchdowns. He is, like Pettaway, another former four-star prospect who just was buried in rotation with the Miss Rebels. You think of the running backs that have come through that Rebs system in recent years. No one so than Quinshon Judkins. You just don't get carries when guys like that are around. So he came down to the group of five to find himself, and he still had to play second fiddle whilst he's been down here. So in the first year, South Alabama had LaDamian Webb, who went for over 1,000 yards. So he was playing running back too, but he managed nearly 500 yards himself. But then he took the starting job last year and he knocked out a team leading 828 yards and seven touchdowns, going at 5.5 yards per carry as he finally started to make good on his talent. But the thing was, nobody still talked about him. Because who else was on that team last year at South Alabama in the running back room who no one would stop talking about? Fluff Bothwell, the superstar true freshman who is now playing his trade in the SEC this year. Despite being the leading guy, no one talked about him. He has spent most of his career completely out of the spotlight, even when he's doing well. But it's that selfless attitude that really stands out about him. You know, from being a former high-star recruit who's always played second fiddle, he's never let it bother him, which says a lot about his attitude and his temerity. You know, he's got 5 yards per carry on the average his entire career. So he's always got good yardage. He gets good yak. He's good through contact. He's consistently moving the chains and he's showing exponential growth with experience. Because again, for a sixth-year guy, he's only got 1 year as a starter, so there's a lot more to come from him. There's no Fluff Bothwell this year, so he's primed in year six to finally be the guy who gets his due respect and is another candidate who could put up some of the best numbers by a group of five running back, depending on South Alabama, dude. There's no Gio Lopez there this year, so they're going to rely on the ground game more. He's a mini bulldozer. He's so tough when he gets going. About 60 missed tackles forced last year. His yak is pretty good. If he can showcase the receiving aspect of his game against, teams, there's a potential intriguing, albeit older prospect going into 2026. You're probably going to talk day three about him entirely, but nevertheless, there's something in there, and there's not that much mileage on the clock either, which might set teams going. But I think it's fair to say, right, the Sun Belt is fronting the best running backs this year, I believe.
Yeah, I think that is a stellar. Like I say, the fact that he's replacing a hole that was just elite already. And like I say, that lack of drop off production, well, we'll see that team prove real well this year. He's got big shoes to fill, but I think he's one of the guys that's very much primed to fill them. And yeah, Sunbelt has got some cracking talent at this position. Like I say, a lot of positions. It's going to be very fun to watch offensively this year in general.
It is. And just quickly mention a couple of the others. The Mountain West potentially looks good. So Sayer Gaines at Boise,
I thought
he
about picking
is.
him, like I say,
So he got injured last year, but he was a true freshman last year, and he is expected to be the next massive thing there. He got like 130 yards in the first game of the season against whichever FCS team was playing. Everyone was going crazy. Then he got hurt, and he's been hurt a long time now. I think he's been hurt during spring as well. So I've not picked him for that, but Sayer Gaines could potentially be the next thing at Boise. But you should know the other one, Scott Ray Humphrey. He's a Montana State legend. He's broken a ton of records there. Had a massive, was it 1,500 yards he had last year? He's coming up to the Mountain West now. And New Mexico was actually a damn good offensive team last year. So he might have landed himself a nice gig there with the Lobos.
yeah, big pickup for them because pretty much most of the entire G5 wanted him. Very proficient, led an offense that's made two big runs at FCS championships, put the team on his back, got a well-deserved move. Like I said, the Lobos, yeah, they're an interesting team. Like I said, they've been trending in the right direction in recent years. And yeah, they finally get his G5 call, and they could be the one to benefit from a guy that is, yeah, he doesn't show any sign of slowing down right now. And it's a big step up in competition. It's going to be a fun conference, and he's going to be an interesting player when it comes to looking at guys for 2026 potentially draft stock.
Exactly. And New Mexico pumped out two 1,000-yard rushers last year. Devin Dampier, the quarterback, and then Eli Sanders, the actual running back, both passed 1,000 yards. So keep your eye on Scott Ray Humphrey and what he does against better opposition there in New Mexico. And the other one I very quickly mentioned, Keon Owens at Florida International. He's had a lot of injury problems there, but on his day, he is also one of the better running backs in the group of five. So if he can get it together, along with Willie Simmons been there this year, Keon Owens could be primed for a big year as well. But yeah, the Sun Belt for us is where you're going to look for your guys this year in the running back room. Right, let us move it on. Unless there's any comments I need to quickly mention. No, we'll move into the wide receiver room. And again, as always, got three for each conference. I've picked a couple of guys. Right, pick one. Let me find the right one. Lovely. So in the American, we've got Anthony Smith from East Carolina. Easton Messer from Florida Atlantic, and Eli Heidenreich from Navy. So Navy have got a player in each of the first three guys here. They're expecting to front a very good team this year. In the CUSA, got Kenny Odom from the UTEP Miners, Michael Pettaway from the Jacksonville State, KD Hutchinson from Western Kentucky. In the MAC, you've got Junior Vanderos from Toledo, Terry Lockett from Eastern Michigan, and Victor Snow from Buffalo. In the Mountain West, you've got Nick Senecal from Hawaii, Hosea Freeman from Fresno State, and Latrell Capels from Boise State. And then in the Sun Belt, you've got Corey Rucker from Arkansas State, Ted Hurst at Georgia State, and Josh Dallas from Georgia Southern. And I'll go first with this because I've got two guys in here. And the first guy I'm going to mention, and I need to make sure we put him down so everyone knows where we're at. Easton Messer, the wide receiver for the Florida Atlantic Owls this season. This is a name, if you've watched this podcast for any amount of time, you will have heard this name before. Why? Because he was a member of my 2024 preseason watch list team, the big teams we do before the start of the season. So he's 5'9", 190 pounds, spent 3 years at Western Kentucky. He transferred this year. This will be his first year at Florida Atlantic. For his career, 98 receptions, 1,317 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns, going at 13.4 yards per reception. He's also got 34 kick returns for 802 kick return yards and 23.6 yards per return. So he's a really good slot receiver. He's a really good returner, and the slot is where he plays 95% of the time. So Messer, if you remember me talking about him, he was the spiritual successor to Malachi Corley in that Hilltoppers team. He stood out as a redshirt freshman with nearly 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, hence why he went into my team to watch last year. Last year, he took what was essentially the wide receiver two role in what was a very deep Hilltoppers room. There was 7 or 8 guys who produced significant yardage last year, but he managed 800 yards with 4 touchdowns as he continues to grow into a very talented receiver, returner, dual threat. So this guy, he's a route running technician who's got a lot of arrows in the quiver. He's the chain mover on screens. So when they throw screens, it's always to him because he's got the feet and that short area speed just to get those chains moving and to get those critical first downs. He'll just put his head down and take on any comers. He loves to run the in-breaking routes down the middle. He always gets good separation to give his quarterback an open option, but he can also get open deep between the numbers. And after the catch, he has just such good feet. I mean, you can see Malachi Corley's influence on his games to eke out that extra yak, which makes him so dangerous. They use him in motion in the backfield and on end arounds. It gets him in open space, and he's surprisingly quick when he gets going. And you add into all that his returning skills, and you've got a really dangerous player. And why he's still on my radar this year. The transfer to FAU is now going to put him in the spotlight. He will be the lead receiving option there this year when he's grown up in a very deep rotation. So this will be the first time of it's a true test of just how good he can be when a lot of the focus is on him. So his former offensive coordinator, Zach Kitley, is now head coach for the Owls. So he knows his head coach already. And most importantly, his quarterback came with him. Caden Veldkamp also came from Western Kentucky to Florida Atlantic. So he already has deeply established connections with his quarterback and his head coach, which sets him nicely to tee off on the American. There are not many linebackers in the American who are going to be able to deal with him, and probably not that many corners either in the situations that he will get them in there. If I see him have 1,000 yard season and really just take off this year as a leading man on this team, he's going to be drafted. I think Malachi Corley was a third round pick, if I remember rightly. This guy could be in the same category. He doesn't have quite the yak skills Corley did, but we may see that evolve this year. But he's coming from a great lineage. He's got his quarterback, he's got his head coach. I don't know, right? I like the look of him a lot, and I think he'll tee off on the American this year.
Another guy that he's just someone that you just put him on the field in any possible way you can. He is just dangerous. He reminds me a lot of that old kind of school style like Cooper Kupp when he was at Eastern Washington. Small, compact build that's very hard to bring down, low center of gravity. He's really good with the ball in his hands, things he does after. And you mentioned they got 6'7" giant QB. I like Veldkamp. He's got a big arm. He's a proper stand and deliver. He can get the ball down the field. Easton Messer's got the chance to be a good deep threat. He's someone that if you give a large cushion off the line of scrimmage, can make you pay for it. He's got some tight little route running. Like he's got good footwork, smaller guys. He's got them fast, twitchy feet. He's an all-round do-it kind of guy. Another one that purely because of versatility, yeah, will get drafted stock. He will get it. So I say he ain't just a slot guy. You can line him up on outside. He is able to go up against those bigger guys. He's physical at point of catch. Like I say, punts, kick returns, that he'll do it all, and he'll do it all very effectively. It's very dangerous when he gets his hands on the ball. So he's joining an offense that should be pretty fun this year, and it'll make him look even better potentially.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to him. I saw the move and I'm like, but then I look behind it, I'm like, no, there's reason behind this. So he should do really well there in the American. Shout out to Brent DeWitt, sent us a $2 super sticker. He goes, go Army, go Blue, F the suck eyes. No guesses for who that is, but yeah, there we go. We all hate them, especially now Matt Patricia is on that team. Right, who do you have on the wide receiver list?
I'm staying in conference,
Ooh.
and I am going with Anthony Smith. So a player you'll know well. So the former NC State Wolfpack. So
Mm.
senior, 6'3", 190, now with the East Carolina Pirates, two-time ACC academic honor roll. Started all 13 games this year, logged 647 snaps. came down with 41 catches for 799 yards at 19 yards per catch and 6 touchdowns. This is a guy that was like getting like 70, 80, 90 yards a season as the NC State. Like I say, he was a pure rotational or a dummy. Like I say, the kind of guy that just didn't see the ball, decided to transfer to somewhat an in-state rival that had a QB. It came at a time where they were trying to blood in a new QB, which is very interesting, but somewhat of a renaissance period in chrome and purple. So this year they went 8-5. They got back in the bowl game win column for what feels like a while. They went 5-1 down the stretch and they found a new quarterback. That's why I like this pairing because Katin Hauser had an injury last year, but he's come in and he made that job his own. And he went and he found Anthony Smith and they formed quite a strong partnership. So this guy had a big breakout first year in this offense. He's a big outside threat. He's got good, nice, big, soft hands. He's got long arms. He's got a tall physical frame. He's good at the point. He's good on the outside, working towards the sideline. And he found himself a bit of a niche in and around the red zone, like I say, around the end zone, using his big body at the line of scrimmage and had a very productive year this year. Now, they brought in Mike Wright, the former SEC quarterback ECU this year. So they've got a very interesting mix now with Katin Hauser, who had a 18-11 touchdown ratio. I think that bodes really well. So you've got a running QB that can run on the throw. You've got a strong pocket passer. They've put together a good QB room. And that can only be good for Smith this year. Put him over extra 5-10 pounds on him. And I think he can be I think he's going to be 1,000-yard receiver this year. It's his second one in the product. It's a team now that they're feeling better about themselves. Like I say, they're looking this year that I think they're going to be in the mix for a potential conference championship. They want to build on an 8-5 year, and this is going to be the man to do it. So he's a big, imposing physical threat, and he's going to try to make that felt a little bit more this year. Now he feels more comfortable. He won't be coming cold. I think he's going to hit the ground running very quickly. So yeah, I won't be surprised 1,000 yards, close to 10 touchdowns. He will be one of the more prominent outside receivers in the conference this year.
Is that Hauser the old Michigan State quarterback?
Yes,
Is
Katie
it that
Howard.
one? Is
The
it not
second
weird?
starts there, yeah. Now he's here. He's here.
Is it not weird how all these guys are going, like Levitt and Hauser, and these guys are going away and having success elsewhere? Like the Michigan State been fumbling some of these guys, but you're right, I do know of him. I was disappointed it didn't work at NC State for him, but with Conception and guys like that around, sometimes you don't break the rotation and you look for these guys to do well there. And I did look at him on this list. I thought NC State, I'll go for it, but Mess has been my guy for 2 years now, so I'm going to stick. But I agree with you, Anthony Smith. And that East Carolina team, as you again said, they could cause a lot of problems this year. Maybe throw them in as a dark horse for the American if they get their act together. So I'm looking forward to seeing him there for sure. And then the other guy that I've got on here for the receivers, I'm going to take a rarer trip on this to the CUSA, although we've picked someone from there. Kenny Odom from the UTEP Miners. Now, I say intriguing prospect a lot. This is a very intriguing prospect here. So again, as I say, Kenny Odom, wide receiver for the UTEP Miners. He's 5'10 and 170 pounds. He has spent 2 years at Austin Peay, 1 year at UTEP, going into his second year. Over his career, 76 receptions, 1,045 receiving yards, 13.8 yards per reception, 11 receiving touchdowns. He is a hybrid receiver, part of the large contingent of Austin Peay governors who followed Scotty Walden into the desert. And boy, did he take the CUSA by storm last year. So he led the Miners in receiving yards with 739 yards. He added 8 receiving touchdowns to go with them as well. And this was despite the fact that 2 receivers had more receptions than him, albeit by just 1 yard, but he was technically the third receiver on the team in terms of receptions. He finished with the most yardage, and I say he's such an intriguing prospect. His build, 5'10", 170 pounds, that screams safety net slot receiver. But not only did he play 65% of his snaps on the perimeter last year, he had 16.1 yards per reception, showcasing not only an ability in the short game, but a very real threat deep down the field as well. His 8.2 yards after the catch ranked top 20 in the entire nation. So even with a 170-pound build, he possesses the speed and the route running capability to be a threat after the catch without having to deal with all that contact. UTEP are returning Skylar Locklear at quarterback last year, who was his quarterback in the year just gone. And they've also got former five-star recruit Malachi Nelson on the roster this year. So Odom's going to have no issues getting the ball. And as his frame fills out, because you would assume he gets a little bit heavier at some point, he's only going to get better. The contested catch rate is only 46%. You would expect that again. But if he bulks out, he's got all the tools to work without being too heavy. He could go to 170, he could go to 180 and probably be pretty secure. He's just got hybrid ability all over the receiving line. As I say, now his career average is about 50-50 because he played inside for most of it. But with the 65% last year, you can play him wherever you want. X, Y, Z, backfield. This is a small guy who doesn't accept his limitations, Ryan. We know Scotty Walden is one of the foremost emerging offensive minds in the country. We saw it with his Austin Pay team, and he's got this little mighty mouse on the perimeter performing heroics. It's not necessarily about your size and your build, it's your technique, your hands, your ability after the catch. And this is one of those rare outliers where the size doesn't matter, which for me is what makes him so tantalizing.
Yeah. I think like every last couple of drafts now have all had that kind of guy where you just look at him and think physically you don't think he could do it. But then when you watch him play and like say even in the pads and the helmet on, he still looks like a small child compared to some guys. But just one of those where they just work so hard at their craft, their technique, they're constantly doing like jug machines. They're constantly doing, like they say, the ladder drills, the footwork drills, the cone drills, because they know that's where they can win at the line of scrimmage. And like say, making those insanely sharp cuts and just throwing guys off. They work extra hard. Like I said, they always have those small, tight, muscular, compact frames. And yeah, they're a nightmare in the open field. He's another guy that if you give him space and he catches the ball in front of you, you're going to be like a rabbit headlights. He's the kind of guy where if you just dive, if you shut your eyes and just go try to tackle him, you're just going to grasp thin air. And they can make you look very, even if it's like a 6'2" corner, they can make you look silly pretty quickly if you don't take them seriously, if you don't commit everything to make the tackle. So this is another guy that is going to give defenses the frighteners all year. Another one that he'll work all over line of scrimmage, lots like jet sweeps as well, a lot of those like trick run plays, the kind of everything like that that's behind the line of scrimmage with someone that are always shuffling about, trying to, like say, find the best matchup on the field. So he's someone that never stays still, kind of like those jitterbug kind of guys that have found plenty of success over the years and should have another good year this year. And there's always room in an offense for a kind of guy like that, especially in the next level of the pros too, we found recently.
Exactly. So, keep half an eye on Kenny Odom down at UTEP. He could be a very intriguing draft prospect next year for sure if he carries on with his current rate of development. Other guys, just to quickly mention, Junior Vanderos is getting a ton of hype for the Toledo Mudhens. So, watch him in the MAC this year. Nick Senecal at Hawaii. Him and Pafeli Ashlock have the ability to be the best pair of wide receivers in the group of five. They've both made All-American preseason teams for the Mountain West there. I think Ashlock flashed out as a true freshman, but he's got a really bad drop problem over his career, and Senecal seems to have overtaken him in the hierarchy. But Hawaii have a great pair of receivers this year. Keep an eye out for Senecal and Ashlock there. And then Corey Ruck has been an absolute stat merchant at Arkansas State. I think he's going into year 6 now. He was there for a few years, then he went away, transferred, did nothing. He's back again. He just has 1,000-yard seasons for dinner, so probably going to lead Arkansas State all time by the time he is done there. Right, that's the receivers done. Just quickly going to stop this just to address a question no, mile marker put in there. And it's quite an interesting one, right? So he goes, there seems to be several come along groupings here, i.e., players joining with former coaches or other players. Is this increasing? And when you think about it, we do talk about a lot of players who, we've seen, especially with coaches moving, the influx of James Madison players to Indiana when they moved there, all the players following Charles Huff from Marshall to Southern Miss, all the Austin Peay players coming to UTEP when Scotty Walden moved, and it does feel in recent years, and a lot of individual players as well do follow around their coaches now rather than And sometimes sacrifice may be a bigger stage for it. I reckon a lot of them JMU players could have done better than Indiana, but they chose to go with the coaching. Is that players are trusting their coaches? They're willing to trust the coaches more than NIL. There's maybe a thing that I do feel like there is a pattern. I would love to explore it a bit more depth, but just from my initial feelings, more players are following their coaches around now than ever before because of, I guess, the trust and the ability to fit them in the system. Maybe they take a higher playing in the depth chart if they go to a new team and the new head coach trusts him more than all the others. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a growing trend. I think it's more a group of five thing than I suppose it is a power four because the power four is all bells and whistles and it's bags of money. Yeah. Now in the G5, like I say, a lot of players, yeah, there are bags of money and there are pots of gold if you enter the poll. But for a lot of these guys where they've just trusted the process, there are, I'd say, a small minority of coaches out there that players would literally run for a wall for. Or there's coaches out there where you get back in the locker room and you curse them. You play for them, like you say, you hate them. It usually feels like it's one of the lot. But a lot of these coaches have probably met their parents, met their family to try and get them to commit. Like I said, they've gone well out of their way to integrate them into their lives and make them feel like one of their extended children. And yeah, I don't think most of them don't get an advantage, not even at the new school. Like I say, they don't automatically jump to the dev spot. They, I think it's for them, it's probably more familiarity. You know that if they're going to keep the assistants that are already at the school, the head coach is going to somewhat implement a system that you're used to playing in. Vocabulary, play calls, so you don't have to learn a new playbook. They may come in and, like say, keep the colours, the shapes, the soft drinks, however you want to call your players. Like I said, you can hit the ground a little bit quicker. Like I say, you're going with an idea. So I think these interests again, a lot of this stuff for a lot of players, it outweighs cold hard cash and sponsorships because ultimately those things are material right now. And if you want to get to the league, they won't always get you there right now. They're short-term gains. If you follow the right guy and you put your faith in him, he'll do right by you, trying to get you to be a pro. Like I say, he's never gonna exploit you or put you in a bad position.
And he won't take you if he's no intention of not playing you, I guess. Because how many like Power Five guys do we see who go to a team and they're not part of their recruiting class, they've transferred, they just kind of get forgotten about and they're in the side. We talk about these guys who come down to the group of five who are in year four of their career, starting for the first time because they've bounced around, because they're not following the coaches, they're going to completely alien concepts. I guess guys like from JMU, like Mikel Camara and Aiden Fisher and guys like that, they may not have had the opportunity go into Indiana without Signetti. They might not have played as much as they did with him. So it does feel like you get the guaranteed opportunity there, and they'll be a lot more honest with you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
intriguing. If you're a and this maybe goes a bit. If you're an NFL, if you're a scout, right, and you get a player who's come up to you who's maybe transferred three times in his collegiate career, but if he's done it because he's followed his coach around and he's like, I'm loyal to my coaches, I'm loyal to the training and stuff like that. For me, that would be kind of a plus point on their report, the fact that, I know a lot of players move around and a lot of players develop, but if they're loyal to the cause, to the coaches, I would take that as a plus, as a scouting thing. Like, he knows what he wants, he knows where the right coaching is. I think that suggests maybe the right attitude as well to go with these guys. Like, they recruited you, not the team, the people did.
Yeah. All right, from a scout, if I see over a certain number of transfers, it's a red flag. But then if I look into the reason why they transferred, if they up sticks and moved across country three times to play for the same coach, if they were productive, like saying all three fit all the programs with the same coach, then yeah, I'd be like they made the best decision for them. I say if they, yeah, any other reason other than like say for personal reasons, I'm like I hate it. Like I say, that's a big issue. But yeah, I could certainly look at that as a plus. And also, I know when I'm scouting a player, if I want more information, I know I can believe what they're telling me. Most
Yeah.
coaches would just be like, yeah, great kids, they'll blow smoke up your ass. But I say, honestly, like I say, they might say, yeah, I love him. This is everything he's good at. These are the things he's not good at, never been good at, but where he needs the most work, and he knows about that. So yeah, I'd probably trust them more than I would just the first time or someone that doesn't know him that well.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I'm glad you brought it up, Mark. That is an interesting thing. I didn't really stop to think about it until you mentioned it. But yeah, a lot of these players, they follow the coach, so it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves, especially with NR. But I think you're onto something there. I think maybe it happens more in the group of five and the FCS. Because again, maybe a lot of these FCS players, they're not playing on their teams in the FCS. Then they come to the FBS and they're playing because they know their coach. So. I don't know. Very intriguing prospect. That's opened up a lot of avenues there. Appreciate that, Marker. He goes, MCDC would trust that loyalty. Potentially, I would as well. Because when you're a young kid, you are trusting your future to a person, whether it be your head coach or your position. Because I know some people follow positional coaches around as well. Like Veldkamp and Messer are following their offensive coordinator. They trust him, and they're going to do that for the good of their careers. So I get that. I think it would be a plus for MCDC for sure. Right, let's move on. Like I say, keep your questions coming in. We'll keep answering them as we go along. We're on to tight ends now. Don't really have a lot to say about the bunch of tight end groups here, but let's just get these on there. So the American is sporting Houston Thomas from UTSA. CUSA is fielding Eli Finley from the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. The Mac Blake Bosma from Western Michigan. The Mountain West has Matt Lauter from Boise State, and the Sun Belt, Toby Payne from Marshall. Who have you got as your tight end, Ryan?
I'm staying in state. I've got Blake Bosma. So I've seen this guy bit of Thursday night action. I saw his name pop up and I thought, yeah, I've seen that kid before. So redshirt senior, Western Michigan Broncos. Well-built kid, 6'3", 225. This year had 37 catches for 403 yards and a big improvement. His last highest touchdown total in the season was like 2.5, 3. He had 6 this year. And that accounted for a whole third of Hayden Wolf's 18 touchdowns. So this guy was the man to go to in the red zone. So when he came to college as a freshman, he weighed just 200 pounds as a tight end. Like I say, he has been on a journey. He's been as heavy as 250 in the last 2.5 years, and he's been working really hard to find that sweet spot. Like I say, he's now at like 230, 225, where he can be a good, strong physical blocker, but also he's a prominent player in the passing game where he's not too heavy to be a sluggish. So he's worked in recent years to really hone his body, get a consistent build, work in the gym, put a lot of effort and now adding to diet as well. And it shows on the field. Like I say, he's a lean, tall kid, but 6'3", 225, built like an ex-receiver, but he's very strong. Like I say, he's had a good year as well blocking. The last 2 years, his blocking has improved a lot, especially when he's on the end of the line or out in space for those kind of like screens. He's become a lot more aggressive at the point of contact. He's doing a better job at holding on and sustaining, and also knowing when to let go, so not to draw them unnecessary flags. So Hayden Wolf had 18 touchdowns this year. It was a so-so offense. It wasn't a great year for the Broncos, but that just kind of leans into how far Bosma stood out as a conference to be in preseason. He's one of the more prominent G5 tight ends in the country this year. Think good body of work. He will be one of those kind of guys that will get those late day 3 UDFA draft grades, but we'll probably like to see him at an all-star game. Probably one of the more prominent players at position. Offers a lot in a vertical and horizontal passing game. Got plenty of stuff to work on. Like I say, he's getting better as a blocker. He's got good, strong physical build right now. Got a good amount of experience, been at the program now a couple of years. So I think this will be the year where hopefully it all comes together, goes out splash, gets good draft grade. But yeah, I think he's definitely one of the ones in conference to watch at tight end because it's an offense where it's not a prominent passing offense, and a lot of their stuff is kind of like short of the yardage. So he is someone that he's a very quick read. He'll be at least a second kind of looking like every read, like Wes Blake. And like I say, he's a good guy with the ball in his hands, so he should be aiming to better all those numbers this year. So he'll definitely be a good one to look in the rankings for this year and potential first team, all like say second team MAC player at the end of the year. Those awards should be very attainable for him.
Yeah, and it's not like Western Michigan have not sent prospects to the draft in recent years. They have. So Blake Bosmer at Western Michigan, keep an eye on him this
Also,
season.
fun
And then
fact,
I've gone.
he designs and makes his own cleats.
Oh, really?
When Dwayne Eskridge got drafted to the Seattle Seahawks, part of the red line, he designed the cleats he played in this year. So he takes like bold, like say standard ones or like white ones, everything, jazzes them all up and like I say, does his own brand. He's got like his own like Instagram page and company. So yeah, he kits out all his teammates and the rest of the Mac as well.
Oh, nice. So, yeah, if you want a pair of cleats to play with, go check out Blake Bosma. I love those little tidbits about prospects. You can feel a bit more personal with them there. So, yeah, Blake Bosma, Western Michigan, keep an eye on him as tight end in the MAC. And I've picked Toby Payne from Marshall. Obviously for his run blocking, in terms of receivers, Bosma's probably the best of the bunch of these. But then in terms of run blocking, I like to look for these guys. Obviously, Marshall are a very run heavy team. He's been there for 4 years. Oh, he's going to be a fourth year tight end. He's very slowly worked his way onto this team, did it through special teams, started being an inline tight end, then he got into depth rotation, and now he's the starter there. He's one of the best run blocking tight ends you'll find in the group of five. Again, in this heavy run system that Marshall love to use, that is not surprising. He's 6'4", 232 pounds, so again, a very nice potential hybrid for what he could be as a receiver. He's an elite special teamer. His special teams grades were over 90 last year. They were literally in the elite category. He's also a key blocker on the kick return unit, and there is an emerging receiving element to his game. He had 170 yards last year, but that included a 32-yard touchdown against Western Michigan, which showcased that he does have the receiving ability and he has the frame to do it. With the team practically starting from scratch this year, he's one of the few players who's not left and joined Huff in Southern Miss. So he's going to be part of the small group of returners who are going to help carry this team into 2025. And it's a very big showcase for him. One, to show Marshall can still run that power run game with him in it, but for him to emerge as a receiver when most of them have left, and he's going to be one of the guys the new quarterback is going to be looking for. So I got Toby Payne at Marshall. We'll see how he gets on there. Move on to the centers now. Let's get on. So obviously we've done a lot of center work over the last month or so since we've started back up. In the American, we've got Brady Small from Army. In the CUSA, we've got Aaron Fenimore from Liberty. The Mid-Atlantic, we've got Alex Paget from Bowling Green. In the Mountain West, we've got Mason Randolph from Boise State. And in the Sun Belt, we've got Telek Lockett from Texas State. And I will quickly start this one off. And of course, we're going to pick this guy, and Brent will love this. Brady Small from Army. He was in our honourable mentions for the centre prospect positions a couple of weeks ago. 6 foot, 313 pounds. Brady Small has been the starting centre for Army since he stepped onto the team 2 years ago. He was the first freshman to start in his very first game possible for Army since 2017, and no one else has even had a sniff at that position with him around. He was a high school defensive tackle, so they converted him and just started him at center day one, and he's been absolutely great. So he knows the mind of the players he's going up against, and he committed to Army with his best friend, who is Kanye Udo, who is now of the Arizona State Sun Devils. So came with his best mate, and the two of them have ruled for the last 2 years. He's a run mauling monster, which is what you would expect from a triple option team. But he's also in smaller sample size, quite good in pass protection. He's given up just 2 sacks in 350 pass protection reps. Army have consistently been one of the best running teams in the nation. Whilst Navy and Air Force have had their blips in recent years, Army have consistently seemed to be able to run the ball unopposed. And he quarterbacked the Army offensive line, which won the Joe Moore Award last year for most outstanding offensive line in college football. It's the first time in the awards history that a group of five offensive line won it. Army went on to win the American at the first time of asking. It was one of the most devastating lines in the entirety of college. It starts with the center, Ryan. Brady Small's just He's small by name, but not by nature. This guy will just absolutely run you over, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
No, he is he's outstanding. He's someone that, as you say, has been part of not complex, but there's so many moving parts in the Army offense. If you're going to play center there, you need concrete discipline. Right, so you are the one. Everything runs through you because it's such a compact offense. It's not always that spread out. You've got to be a vocal leader. You've got to have, like I said, patience. You've got to have a lot of composure. Everyone's looking at you to make things happen. So you've got to know every assignment. You've got to know which way the player's going, who's getting the ball off, And then, like I say, once the handoff's made, look for this guy to, like I say, get to the second and third level. He just turns into the ultimate bowling ball. The moment the ball is snapped, head up, shoulders square, hands nice pop. And then as soon as he disengages, like he's looking for someone to kill. Like I say, he knows, like I say, that there's multiple guys behind him that want to come through the hole, and he's there to make it. And then yeah, he's going to he'll be chasing running backs all the way down the field and going to celebrate. So yeah, anything he can hit, like I say, he's been in a great offense that's ever improved. So in pass pro, he's improving all the time. Like you say, his ability to snap under pressure, work on, like say, the silent counts, work on the more fun plays where he's got to pull, or he'll have to, like say, do something funky out of the backfield ball plays. So yeah, he's a guy that's always learning. The offense he's in is ever expanding, and he's getting vastly more experience. So I reckon someone you're going to watch as maybe a guy, like I say, a prospect or a project to potentially goes the pros, someone like say you can kind of stash away and let him work on his practice. But yeah, in the run game, yeah, absolute mauler. And like I
Mm.
said, press he's working on the passing stuff, but they all are. Like I say, it's still it's a work in progress. But yeah, we've seen in the last couple of years, especially in this current iteration of the offense, when it works, it hums. It's like songs of praise. It's wonderful.
That's a niche reference our American listeners may not get, but yeah, it's it's good fun. Um, Aaron Fenimore's the other one to watch at centre at Liberty, potential breakout guy there. The rest of them are okay and so-so. I'll move it on to the guards. I don't think you've got any offensive linemen in yours, do you? So we'll move on. Where am I at? Da, 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 da. So guards in the American, we've got Shadre Hurst from Tulane and Paolo Gennarelli from Army. In the CUSA, we've got James Dawn from Sam Houston and Rhett Larson from Sam Houston. Oh, that's some Houston. So let's just quickly adjust that. In the MAC, we've got Tyler Doty from Buffalo and Ethan Spoth from Toledo. Mountain West, we've got Caden Barnett from Wyoming and Roger Carrion from Boise State. And in the Sun Belt, we've got Pichon Wimbley from Georgia Southern and Matt Henry from Troy. And straight back to the Army offensive line, I have also highlighted Paolo Gennarelli here because, again, these are the only two returners this year. They're going to have three new starters on that line this upcoming season, but he's 6'1", 310 pounds. He was a redshirt freshman last year, didn't play in his first year, saw the field for the first time in week one. He started the right guard job and he kept it all season long, immediately establishing himself as part of, again, the best run blocking line in the country. Generally, it's just another Army guy who is just so technically adept, even at such a young stage of his career. When you work the triple, you've got to be technically adept at run blocking. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And again, speaking to the pass protection improvement of the Army line, he gave up just one pressure on 120 pass protection snaps. No sacks, not even any hits, as he's shown promise in that facet of the game as well. And again, he's an absolute monster strength wise. You go on his Instagram and it's just him benching like stupid 600-pound amounts and stuff like that. You know, you could put two of his teammates on a barbell and he'd bench them. But it's translating onto the football field. He's another. It's just going to run you over. There's not a lot you can do about it. Kind of rinse and repeat with Brady Small there. But Paolo Gennarelli's another one you've got to keep a close eye on this year. And then the other guy we got up is Tyler Doty from Buffalo. He is a sixth year. Um, and this Buffalo team's got a lot of play. This could win the MAC this year. But he spent his entire career with the Bulls. He spent his freshman and redshirt freshman years on scout teams. But his previous 3 years, he's been the starting right guard. The pass protection is his standout discipline. He has never given up a sack in his career, and he's now had over 1,221 pass protection snaps. He gave up just 8 pressures last season with no sacks or hits recorded whatsoever. The run blocking is gradually improving year on year as he adjusts his taller frame better in the run blocking aspect of it. And that Buffalo team is starting to become better now because it's not been good recently, but it's showing signs of coming to life. He chose to come back for one last hurrah. As I say, Buffalo could potentially be in the conversation for the MAC Championship this year. If he can finish with another strong season and a title, it's going to give him a much needed bump going into draft season as an older prospect, but one who is just going to have played 2,000 odd snaps at the right guard position and get there. And again, Buffalo, right, another one of those teams, they send prospects to the draft and they find their way onto teams. Dolak this year, he'll find his way in. Doty is like this Buffalo team's intriguing, and it's going to be down to guys like this.
Yeah, kind of like Swan Song. This guy wants to go out on a high. It's a Buffalo team that is producing talent, and in recent years has kind of gone from that trundling water middle pack to improving, competing, can beat anyone in any given weekend. And it starts with a guy like him, someone like say, a veteran anchor on the offensive line, someone that is very much respected, knows the playbook, knows what needs doing like the back of his hand, just someone that needs to go out there every day and just compete, just execute because he knows he can. He's someone that will get a lot of respect in the dressing room, and everyone knows the offense. They just have faith in him. They know he's going to be at least one guy that knows what he's doing, and he's never going to put a foot wrong. So someone that is thinking about what's going to work best for him going forward to pro, like say inside, outside, multiple various positions. So someone that's looking towards the future already that is, like you said, grown over the college years.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll finish with the tackles. I can get back to the screen. I'm at again. Tackles up. So in the American, we've got Derek Graham from Tulane, Chris Adams from Memphis. In the CUSA, we've got Marshall Jackson from Western Kentucky and Jack Tucker from Liberty. In the MAC, we've got Evan Malcore from Northern Illinois and Henry Tabansi from Buffalo, another Buffalo guy in there. In the Mountain West, you've got Pasiti Lapuahu from San Jose State and Cage Casey from Boise State. And then in the Sun Belt, you've got Dorian Strawn from Texas State and Pat McMurty from James Madison. Now, Chris Adams, if you were listening to the show a couple of weeks ago when we did, I think it was the Underdog Appreciation Society or whichever we did, Chris Adams was in there for me. I've already kind of gone right down into depth about him. But I'm so looking forward to watching him play this year. He's the 6'5", 277-pound left tackle from Memphis. Traditionally played at Old Dominion, learnt the left tackle position there, came up to Memphis last year. He graded over 75 against in run blocking and pass blocking, nearly 80 in his pass blocking. He's primed for a huge breakout year on that Memphis team, which figures to do really good things. So, go back and check that one out for a more in-depth review on Chris Adams. But yeah, he had to be in there because I've mentioned him already. The other one I wanted to mention was Dorian Strawn. He is the offensive tackle from Texas State and a very intriguing prospect coming into this year. Green it. There we go. So Dorian Strawn, he's 6'6", 315 pounds. He spent 2 years at Incarnate Word as a backup left tackle and an inline tight end, but only saw 200 snaps, most of them as an inline tight end. He came over to the Bobcats with GJ Kinney. So again, player following coach, and he'd not even played really for Incarnate Word at this point. Immediately took up the starting left guard spot. He looked good in pass protection. He gave up just 1 sack on the season. And then going into year 2, he was actually kicked outside to play at left tackle where his frame may better suit him. He stayed there all season, so another good graded year in pass protection. Gave up just 3 sacks in over 500 pass protection snaps, playing the blind side for the first time. The run blocking came on leaps and bounds as he's very athletic and he got to show it better on the edge. Obviously, he's not been settled at one position in his career, so there are things like his pad level and bits that need working on, technical things that come with time at the position and all those little refinement differences and whatnot. But the athletic ability is his key trait, which will give him something at the next level. So it allows him to mix it up with speed rushers, even at his 6'6" size. And in the run game, he's so quick to reach the second level, doing those combo blocks on the line, blocking deep downfield on screens. You can see examples of him all over. Just being able to get himself all over the field when he needs to. And the blocking's really good with him. The hand fighting is good. He's really good at dealing with counter moves thrown at him as well. Like these speedy guys trying to get a little bit of an edge on him. He doesn't fall for any of their stuff. He's very disciplined as well. He only got 1 flag last year. And again, first time playing left tackle, you can get a little jittery, move a few times. He didn't. He just seems to have taken it in his stride. The arm length is a little on the short side, which, draft analysts will relegate him back to a guard designation come the draft. But he's got the tools to be a great pass blocking guard in the NFL. He does have the tools to flourish as a run blocker at a high level. And as I say, he's played a lot of inside tight ends, so he offers sixth man potential as well from day one on an NFL roster. Consistency in where he's playing should help him this year. I expect Kinney and the Bobcats to challenge for the Sun Belt title this year. Expect to see him in early day three conversation, I reckon, next year. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to like his upside at the next level. So I think you're looking round four, maybe early round five. Hell, if he has a really good year at left tackle, he may push himself up into that second round conversation, sneak into that comp pick territory. But I like the Bobcats. And again, Ryan, another example, player following coach. Not even played in the FCS. He got there, but I like Strawn and what he brings. And that Texas State team, we've been waiting for them to break out. You saw them play Arizona State last year. They play hard, they play tough. He played well in that game. He didn't give up a single pressure, I don't believe, against Arizona State. Their D line was good last year, so the boys got skills.
Yep, Texas State. I think these days probably considered one of the more prominent Power Five teams. Everyone knows, like say, who GJ is. The Bobcats, big team though for a splashy offensive player. That they're explosive offense. They're a team where you kind of always have to. You got to take them seriously, even if you're a big Power Four school, because we saw, like say, when they had John McLeod, even in losses, they could score heavily and score quickly. And this kid, yeah, 6'6", big build. I think, they're just minor tweaks, like you say, keeping his head up, further down, the leverage, like say, guys getting underneath his pads, like say, popping up too high out of his stance, things like that, where they're just their memory, like it's muscle memory for him, where he just needs to work on controlling his body, his build a little bit more. But playing a prominent position in a prominent offense that's going to be going up against some of the better defensive line in the country. There's going to be some great matchups he's going to face this year and going forward. So someone that firmly will put his name in the shop window for a pretty quick riser up boards as a potential true project left tackle. So
Yeah.
someone to definitely watch your name on. And he's gonna be integral to the part of what Bobcats doing. I agree with you. Firmly one of the favourites to win that conference. They should be by right, and this guy is going to be one of those where if he has a good year, if he keeps it clean, then they'll have a good year.
And you want to go out with a bang, you're moving to the Pac-12 next year. So, you need to look good as you go to a power conference eventually. So big year for the Bobcats and for their tackle Dorian Strawn. But you will, if he has a good year, you will see his name called next season. Right, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. And we got the defensive ends. And we are at in the American, we've got Santana Hopper out of Tulane and William Whitlow out of Memphis. In the CUSA, we've got CJ Bazile from Liberty and Gabe Peterson from New Mexico State. In the Mid-Atlantic, or the MAC, we've got Kobe Stewart from Buffalo and Roy Williams from Northern Illinois. The Mountain West, we've got Trey White from San Diego State and Jaden Virgin Morgan from Boise. And then in the Sun Belt, we've got Jordan Lawson from Louisiana and Jamond Trapp from Southern Miss. And boy, is there a lot to like in this group. Hang on. Where are we at? Am I gone? Can I just not click on you? Still hear me all right, Ryan?
I can, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got a linebacker. That's fine. Sorry. I thought I'd just gone crazy for a minute there. So, some great prospects in here. Again, first off, I'll mention Kobe Stewart from Buffalo. It was 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? I was talking absolutely about this guy. So he is the defensive end from the Buffalo Bills, 6'3", 240 pounds. Came up out the FCS, spent 3 years in the FCS, didn't play at all, really. I think he got about 200 snaps whilst he was down there. And then he came to the Buffalo Bills last year, and he just went on to have one of the craziest seasons from any player possible. He is, and I believe I used the term, he's got the hottest motor of any player I've ever seen before, and I'm not joking when I say that with his 6'3", 240-pound frame, 10 sacks last year, 30 quarterback pressures, a couple of battered passes on the line, just an 8.1% missed tackle rate with 34 tackles, 20 run stops. He had a forced fumble as well. It was at Samford he was for 3 years. And the kid is just so athletically freakish. He can beat you with speed and bend around the edge. He can go straight through you with a bull rush, or he's got the ability and the feet to drop inside and hit the B gap and just force his way through. He can win any number of ways. And even when he overshoots his targets, there was a play I mentioned where he gets bent round the edge when a running back runs up the gut. He's like 5 yards behind him at a standing start and he catches him in three. He gets back into the play and brings him down. Go back and check the thing I did on him, but my God, I will do a video breakdown on him because I think that's the only way I can put it into comments how great he potentially is just because of the career he's had and this one breakout year he's had. But again, right, we talk Buffalo. There's Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. There's pretty much a guy at every position here. I don't think I realized the depth of this team there, but I mean, he's freaky. Someone did a review of him on YouTube and I watched it and I'm just like, I know it's highlights and stuff, but it's just, my God, I don't know where he's been. It's just one of those rare ones where they don't seem to work and then they just put it together.
Yeah, kind of player where like you watch a game and you're looking for a certain player, and then like you get distracted because you're like, oh, who's that guy? I didn't come here to watch that guy, but yeah, he flashes. Like I say, he knifes around. He's fast. He's agile. He's aggressive. He makes his presence known. The kind of guy that just stands out on a lot of tape. He's a finisher. He's someone that, yeah, as you said, Buffalo kind of just have players at every position. It doesn't always come together for them as a unit or a team, but individually standing out, they're a team of standout players. And they should be better than they are. They should be always trying to win stuff because they're a big old program. But this guy, yeah, he's going to lead from the front this year. He's going to put that end on his space on his back. And like I said, I think he's going to go potentially on a tear. I think the Bills Buffs are going to be a team to watch this year. And I think he's going to be the kind of guy that is going to have that standout performance on that defensive line for them.
I think Loki, he could be the sack leader in the FBS this year. I think that's how good he could potentially be. Grandize, a quick note. Dorian Strong was the cornerback from Virginia Tech last year, I believe. This was Dorian Strawn from, yeah, so different last name, but you're in the right ballpark. Dorian Strong was a player last year. I think he went to the draft this year, Dorian Strong did.
Yeah.
He did, yeah. So similar names, but not quite. But, you did get that there. Grandizer goes, you guys are making me want college football to start this Saturday. I do like getting up on a day off on Saturday, watching college football all day and night. Oh, I do as well. There's nothing I love more than being awake at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday morning watching Louisiana Tech versus Western Kentucky. And I say that sincerely. I do actually love it. So I can't wait for the season to come. But it's great to hear about all these players before we get there. And then the other one I wanted to mention, and now bear with me here, folks, because I'm going to make a lot of comments which may be at odds to what I've been in the past. But Santana Hopper at Tulane, we mentioned Santana Hopper last year when we were doing the Sun Belt preview. He is from Appalachian State, and he is a hybrid defensive lineman. Now, you're all going to scream at screens going, you hate those, Anthony. You don't like them. They're terrible. And yes, while I technically agree with you, that is true. He started at one position and he's been moved to another. Well, he did really well, but then he's been moved to another and he's better and he's going to stay there now. So while technically he's a hybrid, I think he's found his position. He's going to stay there. So I'm not technically a hypocrite, although I am. 3 years at Appalachian State for Santana Hopper. He's 6'2", 265 pounds. Didn't really play as a true freshman at App State, but he got on the defensive line in year two. He was the Mountaineers' nose tackle at 265 pounds. He showed a natural pass rush ability. He had 4 sacks and 4 quarterback hits that year, sorry, as well as great play against the run. Considering he was a first year player, he graded up near 80. Then App State moved him out to the 5 technique last year. So instead of playing him at nose or 1 tech, he went to 5, where his 6'2", 265 build maybe serves him a little bit better. And he really began to flourish as a pass rusher there. He had 7 sacks, two forced fumbles last year, and he had an elite grade against the run again. So this elite run defense ability comes from his ability to block shed. And I tell you, when I see a guy who has technique mixed with counters to blend, to get through block sheds, there are few DTs who I've seen who can quite effortlessly get off blocks the way he can. That's why his run defense is always so great. He gets really quick off the snap, dictates the play, shoots the gap, and he's always in the backfield, bringing tackles down. Again, despite the 265 frame, you might think it's a little light to succeed on the interior, but he makes it work. And his closing speed as well is absolutely rapid. The amount of times you see him jump a gap, and he's at full extension, trying to grab for a running back's legs, and he'll grab him. Like, it's so good. He's just got this lovely little combo, as I say, of counter, of speed, of being able to finish off the tackle. He is the definition of a wrecking ball up front, and it's that dangerously elite run defense backed up by a dozen sacks in 2 years, showing that he's got the pass rush prowess as well. My a big problem I've had with the Lions recently is we've got a lot of good run defenders, no one who can rush the passer. We got very few natural pass rushers on the team. And to top this all off, he's going to get paired with John Sumrall this year. We've mentioned him already, but he's the former Troy head coach who's the team factory produced NFL D-line prospects. You think of Javon Solomon, who was a draft pick, guys like that. Solomon, oh, what was his name? Oh, there was another one. There was quite a few of them anyhow. And they're pairing him with a lot of good transfers on that D line. They've got Mo Westmoreland coming in. That two-lane D line is going to be really scary this year, right? But Hopper, you've seen him now. When a guy starts off somewhere and then moves and carries on getting better, it does show the versatility. But man, I see a wrecking ball here, and at 265, you fill him out a bit more. That's a dangerous guy who can get to the NFL pretty easy, and he's got the
Yeah,
coach to do it with.
yeah. You got the coach of, like, say, one of the prominent defenses of the late 2010s, early 2020s. John Sumrall had some of the best commits in the country. He sent some of the best defensive line talent to the draft. You get a guy now that, yeah, hybrid, tweener, whatever you want to call him, that between 260 and 270. It really is the sweet spot for a guy that wants to play as, like I say, an interior defensive tackle or be able to kick outside on the edge. Either way, they can win it through the middle or they can win on the outside. Hopper's and he's just one of those guys. He's going to find ways to win wherever you line him up. Chess piece, someone that offensive linemen are going to hate because the linemen are going to be constant calling him out. He's going to be moving. He's going to be dropping back. Might say another guys, well, yeah, don't just watch dropping back into coverage. He'll come up to line quickly and then he'll backpedal. So he's going to get in passing lanes as well. So all those things he's capable of, getting in passing lanes, getting the hands up, batting the passes. An incredibly athletic dude that's able to do everything in and around line of scrimmage, just a buzzball. And then when he gets into the backfield, because he's like, say, he's fairly light, athletic, he's happy to give chase. He's kind of guy that once he gets his prey, hunts it down very quickly. So yeah, someone like say that will be someone we're looking at pretty high in potential on draft sack boards coming up this year, or multiple tackles for loss. There's going to be a lot of havoc players from him this year.
Oh, absolutely. And we're saying watch this guy, watch Santana Hopper at Tulane this year. That D line they fronted, that's setting up for them all to eat this year. Tulane could be right after that ACC title, depending on what Retzlaff or whichever quarterback starts there does. But Santana Hopper, I'm really excited about. Watched him since his App State days. Let's see what he does this year. And then I guess the other one to mention, the one that everyone mentions, obviously, is Trey White, right? He's coming off that 13 sack season in the Mountain West. Mountain West edge rushers get drafted. They do real. It was his first season as a starter last year, so you've only got the one season of production. But I mean, 42 quarterback hits, 13 sacks is a battered pass, 41 tackles. There was, I think, an interception in there as well. But he figures to be the next draft prospect that Edge talked about out the Mountain West, and people rate him quite high as well. So that's one to really keep an eye on.
Yeah. And no more Ahmed Hassanin. So he's the guy now. Like I say, last year we kind of split in duties like those bookends, but this year with expectation comes pressure. If they don't have that other guy on the other end to also like keep the pressure and keep the contain, it's almost twice the amount of workload that's going to be on him here. So if he was able to replicate another 11, 12, 13 sack season, I'd be more impressed knowing that he's now got a new partner on the other end that may struggle to also match his intensity and output. So yeah, very hard dropouts. But this year, you're going to see there's going to be a lot of pressure on him this year to do it on his own and try to hold his own and potentially do one and a half people's work. So if he does it again this year, I will then start to look into him a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. You pull off two 13 sack seasons in a row, then you're gonna get a lot of attention. So keep an eye on San Diego State this year. Apologies if ads are getting in the way with anyone tonight. I know a few people have said it. We try and keep them towards the start and the end of the show, but then YouTube has this weird knack of changing everything and putting it to a default setting where they come up all the time. So I'll make sure that's dealt with next time. So if ads are messing around with anyone, I do apologize. Brent goes, by the way, Anthony, I owe you a Hall of Fame brow so far. Should have clarified better on our bet. I was thinking that Michigan had more offensive line than the Irish in the NFL all time. As of now, you're ahead. Well, we get things right, we get things wrong, Brent. That's the great thing about it. Michigan may have more guys in there eventually, so it's going to be very close. So it wasn't the worst bet to lose. They're both very good teams when it comes to putting tackles, to put in offensive linemen in the NFL. So no harm, no foul there, buddy. Moving on to D tackles now. Let's get the D tackles up. So in the American, we've got Landon Robinson from Navy and Fatafehi Valea from North Texas. In the CUSA, we've got KD Johnson at UTEP and Bryce Dixon at Liberty. In the MAC, we've got Martez Poitner from Toledo and Nazir Washington from Miami of Ohio. In the Mountain West, we've got Braxton Feely of Boise State and Gaffer Farga of San Jose State. And then in the Sun Belt, we got Emmanuel Bush out of James Madison and Henry Bryant out of Georgia State. And I'm noticing we're picking a lot of players from the American here. I've got Landon Robinson out of Navy. Sorry, Brent, I've put two Army guys in there so far, so you can't have a go at me for putting one Navy guy in. Landon Robertson, a 2 years Feldman's freak, who is probably the best athlete on a team full of military men, which is quite the compliment. He squats 650 pounds, benches 450 pounds, and he's been clocked at 20 miles per hour on the field. He's a nose tackle. He's 6 foot, 287 pounds. He's just another of these completely destructive interior linemen that the service academies seem to be pumping out right now. 9 sacks in his last 2 years. He's got a burgeoning run defense reputation. His missed tackle rate is a minuscule 4.6%, showcasing great tackling technique, high IQ, and making sure he's in the right place to make the right plays. To show how good he fronted this Navy run defense, Army had their least rushing yards since 2009 in the rivalry game last year. Such was the disruptive presence of him. And to really rub salt into the wounds, I don't know, Rye, if you remember the Army Navy game. Navy ran a fake punt in the fourth quarter against them, where they direct snapped the ball to one of the protectors. The protector was Landon Robinson. He found a hole in the protection. He sprinted 30 yards to put Navy in a position to score again just outside the 10 in the fourth quarter. So as well as being a disruptive interior lineman, they get him involved in the trick plays as well. But it's so rare to hear of a nose tackle clocking 20 miles an hour and squatting 650, and it just goes to show the level of talent coming off these service academies these last few years is insane. But I remember watching him play. He stands out completely to me. Probably going to have another great year for Navy. And yeah, special teams guy as well. That was such a fun play and such a ballsy one at the time when Navy were only just ahead.
Yeah, this guy, athlete, just a supreme athlete. Like, so you look at him and you don't think. If you look at him, if you saw him on the street, you think average Joe, average build, fairly heavy, but no, like I say, he's fast in a straight line. He is incredibly strong. So whatever he's squatting, lifting in the gym, like I say, a bit of a gym rat. He is so disruptive in the middle of the line. He holds his own tremendously well. Like I say, filling up holes, shedding blocks, the kind of guy that just has that relentless drive to keep getting better. Also sneaky fast, yeah. So he's another guy where people will underestimate him by looking at him, which makes him the perfect candidate to get him involved. Screams to me NFL fullback, halfback. He is going to be the kind of guy at the goal line, just plugging in touchdowns at the next level. Such a low center of gravity, such a mass. He's so incredibly strong. I think you could learn a lot of fun things with this guy. I'd like to see Navy get him involved in all sorts this year. You're going to have to see him on offense as a lead blocker, as a ball carrier at some point, because he's just got a supreme build and that thirst for contact that I just love, especially in the DT. So yeah, it's just another crop right now where I think we're looking at like the best service academy crop for what feels like ever. Just plenty
Yeah.
of guys that will make it pro and they will stick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with them keeping their quarterback this year, they could potentially be the service team to beat. Brent, I'm sorry, you did mean Hofbrau. I have had Hofbrau before. I don't know why I thought Hall of Fame brow. That is a mistake on my part, and yeah, I hope you got a good laugh out of that one. But yeah, you so mentioning having a beer in Germany, so yeah, that is true. You buy me beer when we come over. The Lions will play in Germany next year, hopefully. But yeah, Landon Robinson from Navy. Looking forward to seeing him. And then the other one I've got to mention, and not many people might remember this, but this is the second guy off my preseason to watch list team last year, Henry Bryant from Georgia State, which may seem really random. But he is 6'2", 280 pounds, I think it was. He's the defensive tackle for the Georgia State Panthers. Mentioned he was on my watch list team from 2024, so he was a former Louisville Comet who transferred to Georgia State. Did really well in his first season there. The grades went down last year, but Georgia State went from a 7-win team to a 3-win team, and they went 1-7 in the Sun Belt. He was still second in sacks on the team. He was third in tackles for loss on the team. And the 7 sacks over the last 2 years show a penchant for being able to get to the quarterback. The run defense has always been his bread and butter, though. He does have positional versatility. He sort of slides between the nose tackle and the three tech, depending on the defensive alignment. So I think in a four, he's a three, and then in a three-man front, he plays as the nose tackle. But he can fit multiple schemes easily. He's very he's very scheme efficient. So you can do what you like with him. You'll be entering his draft year this year probably. So it's a big one in terms of leadership and playing well on the front of that D line because this is a bad team. They had a new head coach last year. It didn't hit the ground running. But he needs to just take a step forward as a leader this year and show he can be an all-round defensive tackle there. But I do retain hope. I do think he has the potential to be one of the Group of Five's best defensive tackles, so long as he can just get the individual grades going in the right direction, and so long as the team around him is better and gives him an opportunity, because they've not really had that much off the edge. So a lot of attention has been paid to the better defensive tackles, trying to keep them quiet. Hence why last season wasn't as good. But I still hold up a lot of hope for Henry Bryant III out of Georgia State. So keep an eye on him. This is the second year I'm going to bat for him, and we'll see what he's all about. Let's move on to the linebackers. There's four each here. This is the biggest group of them all. Ryan's got one for this. I've got three because there's like 20 guys. So I want to try and cover a few of them. And we just need to make sure we get right. So we have in the American, why have I gone down? Don't want to do that. Sam Howard from Tulane, Andon Thomas and Caleb Fortner from Army, and Mo Westmoreland from Tulane. In the CUSA, we've got Danelius Johnson from Kennesaw State, Colby Field from Louisiana Tech, and Tyler Martinez from New Mexico State, and Joseph Carter from Liberty. In the MAC, we've got the Buffalo pairing of Red Murdoch and Dion Crawford, Jordan Kwiatkowski from Central Michigan, and Corbin Hondrew from Miami of Ohio. In the Mountain West, we've got Jordan Pollard from San Jose State, Marco Notarini from Boise State, Tano Latuli from San Diego State, and Jaden Pearson from Fresno State. And then from the Sun Belt, we've got Blaine Myrick at South Alabama, Jason Henderson and Mario Thompson from Old Dominion, and Ian Foster from Southern Miss. Rye, who do you have in the linebacker groups?
I have got Jordan Kwiatkowski. So this is the senior linebacker from the Central Michigan Chippewas, 6'1", 230 pounds. He was second all-team MAC in 2024. Now he has featured in 34 career games with 10 full starts. He's got a career total of 138 tackles, I believe 90 plus those are solo. He's got 14 and a half tackles for loss for 31 yards, an interception, four passes defended, and a blocked kick on special teams. Last year, he was ranked joint 46th in the nation, averaging over 8.0 total tackles a game. This guy is the definition of a grafter. So freshman year, played all his games, but only on special teams. As a sophomore in 2023, he became a rotational guy. Let's say he rotated in and out as part of a coverage. And then last year in 2024, started 10 games. It was the first year as a true proper starter. He has been grown every year. He's become an integral part now of what they want to do on defense. An elite special teamer. You will see him always getting very close to block. He's got a career block field goal. Like I say, he's one of those guys that is knifing off the edge. He's got that hybrid linebacker safety kind of build at 2'1", 230. But yeah, close getting, always hauling ass, getting after on kick returns, always trying to get the tackles on punt guys, trying to get fingertips on blocked kicks and punts. He's the true workhorse where he will not take a snap off at any game, whether he's starting, whether he's rotating, whether he's a special team. But this year, in his senior year, figures to be the kind of guy that's going to be leaned upon very heavily to rally the troops in the middle. Should have a potential career year where this will be the year where you leave him out there and trust him. Now he is, like say, one of the starting linebackers, as it were, in this unit. So he's going to have a big year, big name for himself. And he's going to try and rally a defense that has been very up and down, hot and cold in recent years. The Chippewas have struggled at times to find consistency. This guy has grown from strength to strength every year, and this year is going to potentially one. It's going to all come together for him this year. I reckon he could have half of those numbers just in this season alone. He's put together in 3 years. So someone that, like I say, God forbid, like I say, doesn't pick up any knocks if he can play it all through the games in the season, will put up some very good numbers and then, like I say, potentially leave on a high.
Yeah, and if the Mac does get anywhere with the draft picks, the linebackers find a way in. Like they do produce NFL caliber linebackers. So Kwiatkowski there at Central Michigan, hometown prospect or home state prospect. Keep an eye out for him this year. I've got three, as I mentioned here. So I've just realized I'm very American heavy this year. So the first of these three, who I'm really, really excited about, Maurice Westmoreland, and not because he's got what people think like that's a really British name, Westmoreland, like one of those old lords names. But he's the bandit linebacker, or he's going to be the bandit linebacker for the Tulane Green Wave. Is 6'2", 250 pounds. So the bandit, for those who don't know, is the outside linebacker hybrid. So you play on the edge, you play at outside linebacker, you do a little bit of everything. So he's a former JUCO standout. He spent the last 3 years harassing the CUSA with the UTEP minors. He's coming off a really good 2024. He led the CUSA with 8 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 6 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections at the line. So he drops into coverage, does his job there. And this is all whilst he got dropped into coverage for the first time last year. That's where the banditness has come out about. The numbers were not great, but it's something he's adding to his arsenal because he's very athletic, and at 6'2", 250, you can drop him and use him in coverage when you need him. He's primarily a power rusher, but he's got a deceiving speed element to his game as well. And again, is quite versatile in what you can do with him. And UTEP have actually had a good line of edge rushers in recent years. For as bad as they've been, the defensive line talent they've usually hemorrhaged to the rest of the FBS has been really good. And this is the next guy who comes out there. He was meant to go to the draft last year, but that court ruling that happened earlier in the summer, meaning that JUCO years no longer count towards eligibility, has allowed him one last chance to heighten his draft stock. Make no mistake, he was a draftable prospect last year, probably day three, later day three, but he's now got a chance to go to a better group of five school, one that could win the American and really show out. And again, he's going to John Sumrall at Tulane, who is the defensive line specialist. And Sumrall himself has already compared him to Javon Solomon, who was a fifth-round draft pick to the Bills. He believes he's in that mold and has the potential to be that effective. And he's going to be working on a line, Ryan, with Santana Hopper, guys like that. I mean, Mo Westmoreland the UTEP guys have been really good. I'm so excited to see him under Summerall this year. Him and Hopper, we could see some tremendous seasons from these guys working together.
Yeah, I think Westmoreland's probably one of the more exciting players on the whole preseason list. He's the perfect storm of produced no disrespect at a bad school, and he's now, like you say, going to benefit from those changes of roles. He's going to get another crack at the dice at a school which has got a lot to prove, potentially bridging the gap between them and the Power Four to try and make the playoff game. It screams of this guy's getting 10, 11 sacks. He's going to put everything he's learned to the level. He's going to work with some of the better talents in the country that are going to help him get better, the better coaches. He's working with a guy like Summerall that kind of knows what to do with these guys once he kind of gets them, like say how to get any bad habits, how to prove what they're on. So it's the perfect storm for Westmoreland to just have an absolutely monster year for him. Kind of guy that could kind of just, yeah, he's going to wreck shit. Like I say, he's going to go into the draft process with a new, invigorated kind of process and mindset, and he's going to get an even better look this year. So he'll prime himself for a great All-Star game performance.
Absolutely, he will. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mo Westmoreland this year. So another group of five guy you've really got to keep a close eye on. The second guy I've got on this list, and one who I've really taken to heart learning about him. So Colby Field, he is the Louisiana Tech Bulldog linebacker, and his story is a very difficult one. There are fewer players in college football who have a bigger chip on their shoulders than Colby Fields, and it's easy to see why. He started off at South Carolina as a true freshman. He left there after 1 year and went to LSU, where he went for 1 year, and then he moved again. Essentially, he was told by both teams he wasn't good enough. He's 6 foot, 220 pounds, and the South Carolina LSU have tons of players on the roster. Yeah, they both turned around and in no uncertain terms said to him, "Yeah, you're not good enough." Then he transferred to Louisiana Tech in 2023 to revive his career and show them that he was good enough. But he was one of the last players to be affected by, I don't know if you remember the old NCAA rule where if you transfer twice in consecutive seasons, you're banned for the next season as part of doing that. And they hit him with a ban, despite the fact he'd not played at both teams, and both teams basically said they didn't want him. They made him sit out. So he had to sit and watch that Louisiana Tech defense for a year that got absolutely slammed week in, week out, and been told he wasn't good enough by two teams to having to spend 12 months sat watching on the sidelines. There's absolutely nothing he could do about it. I mean, that would have broken a lot of players and their spirits and what they were all about. But somehow, through all of that, he really kept the belief in himself. And Sonny Gumby's talked about him in depth as to just how committed he stayed. Like he was on the sidelines of every game, taking notes. He was at all the practices. He was doing everything he basically could within his power to the best of his ability and not being able to play football. He never let it bother him. And he came back in 2024 with an absolute vengeance. So his run defense graded at 85 last year. That was 24th in the entire nation amongst linebackers, and Tech use him everywhere, be it in the box, they use him on blitz packages. He is the focal man, and he's already the leader of that team. He hadn't even played on till that point last year. And he already took over leadership of the team. He had 2 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. He had a sub 10% missed tackle rate, which for a first year starter is incredibly good at linebacker. He had an interception. He led the team in tackles to showcase the proof of the change he oversaw at Louisiana Tech. So the year he had to sit, they had the second worst rushing defense in the nation, and they were giving up 34 points a game whilst he was sitting. Last year, nationally, they were a top 30 in the nation unit in run defense, pass defense, total defense, and red zone defense. They went from giving up 232 rushing yards per game, it went all the way down to 115. They basically halved it in one season, and he led it with that 85 grade there. Whatever he did, inspired that team to be a lot better last season, and he is the focal point, the captain, and he's going into year two now, and he's going to be as pissed as ever. Like the guy's just had nothing but hardship, isn't it? And now he's finally tasting success, and I don't think he's going to let that go. This Louisiana Tech team, I don't know how they're going to do on the whole. They've not been the best under Sonny Cumby, and it's been difficult for them, but that defense is certainly heading in the right direction, and him going in his second year as a starter, like he screams that he's got the potential to make an NFL roster and he's not going to be told no after everything he's gone through. I don't know if you've seen him, Rye, but it's like it's stories like that. And I think they're very valid when it comes to an NFL draft. You know, when you're looking at these guys, it just shows the mental fortitude of them. And that's some hell of a turnaround there at Louisiana Tech on the defense, even if it's not translating to the field yet. But you got to feel for the kid, and glad he's been successful now. And I just think he's going to destroy everything this year.
Yeah, it would have been very easy for him to just give up on football, to just say, enough's enough, I've had up, fed up. And that year where he couldn't play and he was on the sidelines, most players would have checked out. They probably would have just stayed at home, watched on TV. They wouldn't have been there. They've probably just written off the year and thought, yeah, I'll take this year off and I'll come back when I can play next year. But yeah, he wanted to make his presence felt. And when he did finally get integrated into a team, he was made his presence felt as part of a collective, as one of the best improved units in the country. Didn't win a lot more games, like I said, there's a lot more moving parts than that, but he can take pride in knowing that when he got on the field, that a unit was one of the better ones in the country. And if you can do that again this year, it's more about him now and his journey. The wins ain't going to come, probably not, like I say, the struggles going to come, but he can make a difference on his side of the ball, on the line, and then, like I say, he can make the most of it and then see where the future lies for him.
Exactly. He's now high on my list of guys I'm very much keeping a close eye on this year. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope things go well, Louisiana Tech there for Colby Field, and I think they will. And then the third guy I've got, I mean, we're back at Tulane again. I can't keep away from this Tulane team and its guys. Sam Howard from Tulane, and this is another hell of a story from a guy who not necessarily gone through the same hardship, but just when they say players have aura, this guy is the player who has aura. So Sam Howard, linebacker, Tulane Green Wave, he's 6'2", 220 pounds. He's a former walk-on. He became a captain and he was an all-UAC selection when he was with the Austin Peay Governors, another coming from Austin Peay. Howard came up to the FBS only last year and he took no time in getting acclimated. So he arrived on campus in July, Ryan. By the time the season started, he was voted as one of the six permanent team captains, and he got the most votes of anybody on the team to be a captain. As a brand new player with zero links to the coaching staff, he was the highest voted player to be a permanent team captain for the season, despite the fact he didn't come on campus till July. That is quite simply unheard of. And he comes into the season, he's second on the team in tackles. He had an interception and two pass breakups in coverage, two sacks, two quarterback hits as a blitzer, an 82 run defense grade showcasing that all-round pedigree he brought to the team. And in the process, he set a school record for fumble recoveries. He had five in just 1 year, showcasing his varied turnover potential, not just through the air, but on the ground as well. And he is a natural leader. It's a term that can get banded around these days a bit carelessly, but he is that personified. The man has aura. To get an FBS defense to rally around you as a brand new FCS transfer shows the kind of aura that he's got in the locker room. And you're going into 2025 as undisputed leader of this defense. You've got Maurice Westmoreland on the team with you. You've got Santana Hopper on this defense with you. I talked this Tulane T-Bucks. We talked to that front seven again. It could be one of the best units in college football, not just the group of five. And they've just picked out this guy from the FCS who has transformed them again. And team captain when you're on for 2 months, 2 months before a season starts, you just don't see it.
It says quite a lot about the guy to have quite an imposing figure. Like you say, he must just step in a room, like say, kind of like draw attention. For Tim to walk into a room, like be a stranger and kind of like command respect like that, but not in like a bully way, in like Moses part in the Red Sea. If you all follow me, like we'll get to where we need to be. And yeah, Tulane, man. If Wroclaw shows half of what it could it be where you, the Green Wave will be the best team in the Power Five. That they are the stars might align for them. It feels like they're going to make the playoffs. And this, like I said, this defense is going to be one of the units that's going to get them there. All the guys we
Mm.
talked about, like I said, yeah, they're going to be one of the best defenses in the country potentially.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see it. And again, it's John Summerall's defense, so I know they're going to be aggressive, they're going to be blitz heavy, they're going to go looking for death or looking to cause death. So, my word, be careful when you're facing Tulane this year. In terms of other honorable mentions on there, obviously Jason Henderson at Old Dominion, he might be the best linebacker in the group of five, period, but he dealt with injury last year. He's coming back for his final season. He's an absolute stud and will get drafted out of Old Dominion for sure. And then he's got his understudy Mario Thompson there as well, who took up the mantle in his slack. So the Old Dominion linebackers, potentially the best pairing in the group of five. So keep a very close eye on those two as well. They're going to do some good stuff this year. Two groups left. We got the cornerbacks. When I can get these right, we have on the cornerbacks. In the American, we've got Deshaun Rucker from South Florida, and we've got Amarian Cooper from Memphis. We've got in the CUSA Jericho Washington and Tyler Hallam, both from Kennesaw State, so a pair in there together. In the MAC, you've got Avery Smith from Toledo and Tank Pearson from Ohio. In the Mountain West, you've got Amarian McCoy from Boise State and Chris Johnson from San Diego State. And in the Sun Belt, you've got Josh Moten from Southern Miss and Chance Gamble from Georgia Southern. Who have you picked out amongst this group of corners?
Jason Sehorn, Riley Moss, Cooper DeJean. It's white boy corner season. And but yeah, that's not stopping now. So Chance Gamble, redshirt senior, 6'2", 180 pounds for the Georgia Southern Eagles, a former Kennesaw State Owl standout, might you add. So that is a big loss to a rival in the G5s, the let's say stepping in. 2024 All Sun Belt second team. And yeah, kind of broke out in a big way last year. 10 games, 647 snaps, 48 tackles, 7 passes defended, 3 interceptions, forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. The guy was everywhere. He was a total shutdown corner. And yeah, he has got fantastic build. Like you say, he's big, he's physical, imposing. He can add 10, 15 pounds, I expect him to do. Kind of guy that's not just limited to an outside corner. Can tackle like a safety. He's got the weight, he can put the muscle on to be in the box as well. Kind of guy that if you play the star, the rover, the bandit, this kind of guy's moving all around. So the versatility of being a chess piece, like I say, he's going to be one of the standout defensive backs in the G5 this year, all putting it together. He's come here with a got a chip on his shoulder, like I say, the Southern Eagles, a team we've talked about where they want to turn it around, like I say, and he's one of those guys that's going to try and make that happen quicker. He's going to be someone that they rely on the secondary. He makes plays. Turnovers, you can rely on him. Very short tackler, makes plays a bit of a chip. Yeah, got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, a bit of a swagger like you'd want your top corner to be. Like I say, talks a bit, yaps a bit, but backs it up on the field, and that's the most important thing. Will be by far one of the most important players on the team. And when the season is all said and done, when you look at most defensive categories for corners and G5, he will be there, and he will be up there. Like I say, one of the 4 or 5 interceptions. He's going to be one of the guys that might get some of the most turnovers in the country. This guy will be up there in a lot of the rankings, and he's doing it at the right time. Like I say, he's going to start to get some serious love going into the next cycle. Like I say, these all-star games are made for guys like him. So he's got the frame, the build, he's got a year of production. If you can back it up with another one coming from a solid program like this, then the future's very bright for him.
And listen, if Rye says it is a white boy summer with the cornerbacks, you listen to him because he was all over Cooper DeJean before anody else was. He knows these guys, he knows they can play
Riley
ball.
Moss.
So
I had him in a preseason mock
you
draft for
did,
the Lions
you did.
5 years ago, nearly.
You find these guys. So Chance Gamble might be the next, but he is he is a stud. I'm not going to lie, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does on the Georgia Southern team this year. And I'm going to be looking very closely at one of his rivals because I've also gone to the Sun Belt for one of my two guys here, and I've got Josh Moten from Southern Miss, and potentially, and this is not hyperbole to say, he might be the best man coverage cornerback in the group of five. He's 6'1", he's 164 pounds, so he is a bit of a light boy, but he started off at Texas A&M, didn't really work out there, went to Marshall in 2023. Charles Huff recruited him there. He spent 2 years as a starting corner for the Thundering Herd, and now he's one of the many players who has followed Huff to Southern Miss, and this is one hell of a coup for Southern Miss. Like this guy's versatile. He spent his first year playing in the slot. Again, 164 pounds. You'd expect that for him. But then last year he played at outside corner pretty much all the time. They do bring him up onto the defensive line a bit as well to blitz, but his coverage grades over the last 2 years have been tremendous. His coverage grade last year was 92. It was one of the best coverage grades in the entire country. But in the last 2 years, he's racked up 6 interceptions, 14 pass breakups. He's got over 70 tackles. There, his missed tackle rate went down from 21% to 14%. So that's getting ever better. 14% is not bad for a corner. 16 run stops. He only gave up 27 receptions on 47 targets, which is 57%. So he's just really, really sticky. He's a good tackler. He's graded at 70 in run defense, despite being 164 pounds wet. But it wasn't, we've just seen Mike Green come out of that Marshall team well trained. It's not just the offensive side of the ball. Marshall do create these guys, and I know 164 is light, but we had a certain, and people will say the mistake guy ballsed it all up for small guys, but it's still possible. But his coverage is fantastic. This Marshall team last year, one of their star players, and at Southern Miss now. I expect him to do it again, Ryan.
Oh yeah, he's a guy that has got refined, polished technique to him. Like I say, he's very physical. He's very good, very aggressive. He's sticky. He's tight. He's very happy to get, like say, close line of scrimmage. He's someone that he doesn't want to give these big cushions. So he doesn't want to. He wants to command respect. Like I said, it's a game of chess. It's won within the first few yards, and he's someone that's very physical. And I don't care. He's 160. If he was 5'10", 164, I'd be like, ugh, 6'1". He can easily, with the right nutritionist and right guy, put on up 15 pounds. If he gets to 6'1", 180, different ball game. If he keeps the speed, the hivel, swips, the hivel, just like I say, bulks up a little bit, definitely make him good against, like I say, those when let's say when the guards and the linemen come to block him at 164 is going to struggle. But if he gets, like say, 175, 180, those problems will be a lift. So he's got the frame to work on it. He's got good, strong technique. He's a good sound player right now. There's plenty there to work with, and someone that fancies himself to will be one of the more prominent players on his team this year. So yeah, he's going to be someone that's going to stand out when you watch the film. You're going to kind of draw, your eyes will be drawn to him.
Yeah, and you look at how he did against his power opposition last year. Played against Virginia Tech on the road. He gave up 3 receptions on 4 targets, but for 8 yards. That was it. Then played away at Ohio State the next week. He got targeted twice. He gave up 1 reception for 13 yards. He picked off Will Howard on the other one. Like they didn't target him. They didn't go near him. Will Howard went to him once. He picked him off. He thought, I'm not going to do it again. Went nowhere near him. Virginia Tech targeted him. He doesn't give up yards after the catch. Like 3 catches for 8 yards is nothing. Absolutely nothing. So he's seen him have 2 good games against Power 5 opposition on the road, legitimate opponents, and he destroyed the Sun Belt in the process. So I think that he's got a lot to give, Josh Moten does. I think we've seen some very talented cornerbacks come out of the group of five in recent years who we've watched for years. I think Micah Abraham, guys like that. And Josh Moten's probably going to be the next in a line of these. And if he has a really good year, maybe he has one last year and goes to a Power 5 school next year, which he deserves, and hopefully he does. But certainly if you're watching Sunbelt football this year, keep an eye out for Josh Moten. And then the other guy I wanted to mention was Deshaun Rucker. So he is from the UCF Bulls, and I've lost my stats. I've lost my notes on him, so just bear with me one moment. Yeah, Deshaun Rucker, 6 foot, 188 pounds. This probably will be his draft year. So he had 3 years at Tennessee. He played nearly 200 snaps as a redshirt freshman. Kind of worked his way onto the team, but didn't do great. I mean, he gave up 9 receptions on 16 targets for 153 yards. So he got burnt deep a couple of times and just wasn't able to work his way in. Went to Alex Golesh and the Bulls last year, and then just suddenly he had a really good season. The run defense wasn't great, but first year as a starter, he had a couple of QB hurries. 41 tackles. His tackle rate was 20%, but again, not started much, so you expect those sort of things. Forced fumble, but it's his coverage again. He was targeted 50 times. He gave up 23 receptions. That's 46%. That is meager. That is mean. He had 9 pass breakups on the year. Didn't have any interceptions, but he knew where the ball was. He was a ball hawk, and very few guys were able to go and throw on him. And again, you look in the Alabama game when they played Alabama in week 2, targeted 4 times and gave up 1 reception for 19 yards and had a pass breakup. Like he locked down Jalen Milrow. So you've seen him do it against good teams again. And South Florida have given them a lot of trouble in recent years. But he's another one of these, shorter, stockier guys, which is he's got a lot to prove. His game's behind given how many years he's been in the league. But in year 1, that's a really impressive year. He's shown his SEC talent against Alabama. On the road, it was as well. So you can still see there's a Power 4 player in him. I expect he's just going to get better. And Golesh and the Bulls, whether they ever make it or not, I don't know. But you can't say they've not done a tremendous job with their players there. So got big, big hopes for Deshaun Rucker. I just need to quickly highlight him so people know where we are at. And then we got the last group. So we're on to the safeties, the final group of all. And in the American, we've got Casey Larkin from Army and Will Jones the second from North Texas. In the CUSA, we've got Brylan Green from Liberty and John House from Middle Tennessee State. The MAC, we've got Tate Halleck from Western Michigan and Emmanuel McNeil Warren from Toledo. And then in the Mountain West, we've got Ty Benefield from Boise State and Eric Butler from San Diego State. And then in the Sun Belt, you've got Jacob Thomas at James Madison and Tyree Skipper at Louisiana. Who are you finishing the night off with, Ryan?
You know me, Ant, I don't like to exaggerate, but this is the best player on this entire spreadsheet. This is Ty Benefield.
Ooh.
So the Boise State Broncos safety entering his junior year. 6'2", 200 pounds. Don't know what the Cornish Trophy is, but in 2024 he made the finalist of it. He was also an honourable mention for All Mountain West. So as a true sophomore through 2 years, 128 tackles, 8 passes defended, 3 sacks, forced fumble, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. He started all 14 games this year and he played the most snaps on the team at 1,070 as a true sophomore. And he was an ever-present all season and going into that playoff game. I'm saying now, like I said, he's one of the best defensive backs in the country. He has got one of the brightest futures of anyone. He is so physical, like I say, he's so put together. He's so head smart. The IQ is there. He's got speed. He's got twitch. He's so comfortable side to side and coming downhill. Really is one of the most complete packages right now in the country. He's playing for one of the biggest teams right now. Like I say, that one of the household names is going to be there. He's going to be someone that they're going to look upon now to be the leader of the defense. He's going to be the kind of guy you want him deepest. He's that last line of defense. He sees everything in front of him. He's got that peripheral vision. He always understands what's going on very quickly. Quick to 9 breaks. Fun little ripple. So apparently in spring camp, he's playing wide receiver. He's doing a Travis Hunter, and he's going to play both ways this year. And I think I can't put it past him that he will not succeed at it. So if he plays snaps as well, I think his recognition of routes and, like I say, coverage and leverage could make him quite successful both ways. But yeah, he's going to play every game again this year. He's going to put up even probably better numbers than his sophomore year. I think he'll be one of the best defenders in the country. He's also one of the most outstanding Canadian players in the country. So this time next year, he will be going very high in the CFL draft. Or my prediction is he's going to the Big Ten. He's going to be a Big Ten starting safety if he comes back for his senior year. He will hit the portal. He'll have SEC teams, Big Ten teams, Big 12 teams. Like I say, he's going to the very top. But I think he's already with a big year this year. Will have big, strong protection. Potential, like I say, probably top 20, top 30, 40 pick in the CFL. and then already like a middling day two kind of guy that's got room to grow to a top 75, top 100 player in the NFL draft, or take your money, like I say, go to the Big Ten, prove you could do it there for a year, go to a Minnesota, and maybe a future first round NFL draft pick. That's kind of the ceiling I've got for this kid right now.
Big words there from Rye. Ty Benefield, like he is 100% on this train, so you should get on that as well. He knows his guys, and I mean, I have a fondness for Boise State safeties. I think back to J.L. Skinner and when he played, still one of the most intimidating, fridge-like monsters I've ever seen in the league. And he got drafted, so it's a system that doesn't. These Boise State players get drafted high, so who knows? But I'm all over the Ty Benefield thing as well. I think that's a really good pick there. So keep a close eye on him. I've got a couple on here to finish us off. So the first one, Emmanuel McNeil Warren from Toledo, and I absolutely love this kid because he is one of the best run defending safeties probably in the country. Maybe I think he's had a stellar 2 years starting at Toledo. Had the first year, only played 40 snaps in rotation, but he got into the side the second year. He registered a 95 run defense grade his first year, and then it was 80 last year. Took a step back a little, but it's still elite, regardless what you think of it. And his coverage took a big jump this year as well. He's got 3 interceptions and 6 pass breakups in the last 2 years. Um, Playing, which is absolutely great. I mean, in 2023, he had a 46% completion rating against him. He only gave up 7 receptions on 15 targets that year. It went up to 60 last year, but he doesn't give up too many yards per reception. And again, given up 1 touchdown against him in his career. The NFL passer rating against him is always pretty low, but first and foremost, run defense. His tackling's immaculate. He's got like a 7.5% missed tackle rate in college, which is stupid because usually for safeties it's quite high because of the way they barrel downfield with reckless abandon, and this guy doesn't. And Toledo have fronted some really good draft picks recently. I expect him to go day two at least this year. If he has another good one, 6'2", 202 pounds is the size, you can bring him up into the box a little bit, which is what Toledo have done traditionally. I mean, like he plays all over. He's played 565 snaps in the box, 426 at free safety, 171 in the slot. He's played a bit of corner. Hell, he's played on the D line as well. But wherever he plays, he's just a difference maker on that Toledo defense that I can't help but feel really excited for him this year. So we're going to see what he's all about. Had a little knock towards the end of last year, but again, for a safety who loves to hit really hard, he's very durable, which is very positive for him. So Emmanuel McNeil Warren from Toledo there, and the very last one is Tyree Skipper out of Louisiana. Do like well, I don't talk about Louisiana prospects often, but when I do, um, they're a team where I really like the guys who come out of there. So Tyree Skipper, let me get my notes for him. He's 6'2", 207 pounds, so quite similar to McNeil Warren. Do like that particular build there. He spent 4 years in Louisiana. It's going to be his fifth year. It's going to be his draft year. He spent 2 years as a starter there. Again, who had a little knock last year, missed a couple of weeks, but nothing major. He's fully healthy for this year. 2 year full starter. This is one of the best coverage safeties you will find going. Think back the likes of Tracy Walker, etc., who've come out of this academy, but 7 interceptions in the last 2 years and 4 pass breakups. The NFL passer rating against him last year was 45.1. This guy gives you nothing, and he only gave up 55% of receptions thrown in his direction, which again for safety, usually the numbers are higher. That's really low. So as terms of coverage linebackers go, he's tremendous. He does have a little bit of a missed tackle problem at 17.5%, but he's a blitzer who comes up against the quarterback. They use him quite frequently there, so he's got the ability off the edge. Kind of can use him in a star linebacker role almost. But this Louisiana team who nearly won the Sun Belt last year, figured they might do it this year. He's one of the most important defenders on that entire team. And, if he gets another 3, 4 picks this year and has double-digit picks in 3 years from the safety position, that's going to carry a lot of leverage going into the NFL, proving that you're so good and having such a low passer rating against you. Team's going to take notice. He's got the right build. He's got the right skill set. So Tyree Skipper, I'm really, really looking forward to there. Anyone else you want to mention out of all the ones we've been through? We've got I'm kind of shocked we've got one pick from the Mountain West here and there's Boise in there, but I feel like Boise is a very lazy pick when you're doing group of five. So Boise's like everyone goes to Boise. Oh, he's a Boise player. He's going to be on a great Boise team. He's going to do well by virtue of the players around him. I feel like you've got to be a bit more inventive about it and have a look round for some of these guys. But I think there's so many talented players in the group of five having a look at this list this year, and that's just the ones he's put in his first teams. There's going to be lots more other than this, but there's some very interesting things to take away from this, Rye.
There is, yeah. It kind of feels like yeah, the group of five just needs its own all-star all game. Like say, it's just pure G5. So with like say no wrinkles, no one out like that. So we need to really do a better job at kind of like putting this talent out there. Like say like a G5 versus an FCS. That's the kind of all-star game I want, where I'm getting the best of both worlds. None of that P4 malarkey, where you're seeing the best of the, like say, Div 1 FCS and then the best of G5 clash. Like say, that's the kind of talent I want here. But the players have highlighted today is outstanding. I like to say the fact that only one of us picked a Mountain West player, I think is great. Because obviously it's always kind of been like the go-to. The household names are all there, yeah, and anyone's making the playoffs. Oh, it's got to be the Mountain West. It's Fresno. It's Boise. Like it gets a bit stale, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say, we've seen teams now like it's maybe it's not all cracked up to be like say a lot of them now like oh, actually maybe we would consider leaving, going to split our own conference. Maybe pastures could be greener. So I think it needs a bit of a shake up right now.
Yeah, and guys like, Cage Casey's already like a predicted first round pick, and Trey White's already like a predicted high pick. That's easy to just go, oh, this guy's going to be great, and he already is there. So, but you look around, I think the American is brimming with talent this year. That Tulane team, I'm really excited about. But then the TUSA is hiding some gems. Odom, Field, guys who have really had the deck stacked against them. I'm looking forward to seeing the MAC. Its defenders usually do pretty well. That Buffalo team is looking really good this year. And then in the Sun Belt, I'm struggling to see which is going to be the best conference this year. The Mountain West looks good, the Sun Belt looks good, the American looks good. I think it could be primed to be one of our best years of G5 football in some time.
Yeah, I think we're on the precipice looking like say more G4, G5 upsets than we've
Mm.
seen in recent years. Like there's going to be, I think there's going to be a few scalps this year. Definitely something to look out for. Like I say that if you take them a bit too lightly, they're going to come in. You're going to get a rude awakening.
Exactly. And this is what I love most about doing this. There are so many great players out there with so many great stories that just don't get told. So doing things like this, it highlights some of these players and their stories, brings attention to them, and a lot of these players deserve attention going into this season. So if you're watching the show in reverse and you watch it on YouTube, the guys we've put in green are the ones who to be honest, all these guys are talented, right? But these are the ones who we really want you to pay attention to because we've seen them. We've watched them play. We've followed some of them for years in some cases, and we think they're going to do really well this year. So hopefully this gives you a nice little indicator for the group of five going forward. Yeah, absolutely great. So appreciate you all for being with us doing this evening. Grandizer mentions about Hank. I think, yeah, Hank's doing well. Marmarker goes, this is a nice way for me to learn about who is out there. Exactly. There's that many players in college football. We're always learning about new players all the time. So this is why we do it. But yeah, some good players for you out there to go and see and all. We'll start doing some tape review during the season on them soon as well. If there's any questions anyone's quickly got before we get out of here, just let us know. Just in terms of shows coming up. We're back on Monday on the main Detroit Lions podcast. We are talking about training camp more. I kind of feel what I've forgotten. You join us. It'll be fun, whatever we do. We'll be talking about training camp in more. Ah, that's it. Preseason preview. Thank you. The voice from. Oh God, God entered the room. God is there. Yeah, it's the Hall of Fame game against the Chargers next week. So we'll be previewing the Chargers game, which will be a good deal of fun. And of course, we'll be talking about training camp there as well. And then myself and Ryan next week on the College Pod, as said, we've looked at Phil Steele's Power Four teams. We've looked at Phil Steele's Group of Five teams. Next week, it's going to be our teams, our 22-man rosters. We pick, quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. These are the guys we're really on board with this year. Some of them you may have heard about tonight. Some of them we may keep cards close to our chest, so you'll have to tune in and find out who we put on there. But these are the ones we ride and die with, who we really believe on, and is where we put our thoughts out there. So hopefully you can join us for that. It's going to be good fun. And yeah, you can find us all over at Royal Alliance UK. You know where to find us online, all that sort of stuff. Any other college related points you want to quickly mention, Rye?
Nope. We're there. We're practically there.
We
I can
are.
almost taste it.
We are. We are. A few weeks. It'll be the prediction show soon. How confident are you feeling predicting this year? I'm not feeling
The
confident
least
at all.
confident I've probably ever felt, and I've never done as good as it is.
Hey, we do all right sometimes, but I'm struggling this year. I'm trying to put some of my predictions together. I've no idea, but we're going to get to that. You'll see some good ones, some bad ones. We usually have a couple of good ones in there, fluctuated by a lot of bad ones, but it's going to be fun. So, yeah, keep with us for that. College football is coming up soon. We appreciate the hell out of you all. We'll see you again next week. It just remains me to thank Rye, and we shall see you again very, very soon. One pride.